We're on the internet?
We're on the internet.
Holy crap.
The night I was drafted was one of the greatest nights of my life. It was a special night.
What do I remember? A lot of people saying I was too small to be in this game, and an organization that believed in me.
What do I remember about draft night? I was there, family, friends, we're all gathered around.
You know, I gotta be honest, I have no idea why I'm here. None.
You know, it was always a dream of mine to be part of the DNVR Nuggets.
You're not part of this. He's not part of it.
I remember when I was drafted for this podcast show, I was very excited. Well, that's not actually true. I was asleep. It's a big time difference.
Everybody said that you're different from the rest of the guys. They used to go out and they're watching the Masters. They want to watch Friends. I want to watch Martin.
I remember everything about that night. We're actually watching Friends, little Masters too. And then I remember my suit. It was a great suit. It was a great suit. That's what people were wearing back in the day. That's what we wore back then. I just wish it aged a little better.
I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like I was born for this. My uncle Cedric told me I talk too much, just constantly talking into the microphone, pretending I was a podcast host.
I mean, for me, this is all about representation. You know, I'm in this game to inspire other vertically challenged tiny dudes. Like, you can do this. Size does not matter.
Maybe you should have saw it, man. They had me, my agent had me set up with so many endorsements.
Ja to nisam očekivao od njega, znam da neće da dođe da popijemo rakiju, ovu kabezu i to. Laže me stalno. Stalno me laže i... Nema hladno. Nema kad. Ima hladno, nećemo da popijemo, pa idemo.
Not all of the podcast draft picks worked out for us. There have been the busts over the years.
A lot of people are going to think this is a Michael Jordan, Sam Bowie take, but I don't need Nurk. I need Joffrey. Those are the guys that I need. That's the type of style that I need to see.
That wasn't a good year.
I did a few shows. I think I did pretty well. But then they told me, we're going to stash you in Europe for another year. Just stay in shape. So I hope to be back.
My advice for this year's draft pick, stay humble. Stay hungry. Stay humble and enjoy it. Embrace it.
Future Short Kings, don't let your height get in the way. Height is just a number. The only number that really matters is how much you believe in yourself.
What advice would I give future draft picks? Just make sure your suit ages a little better than mine did. But I'm telling you, that was the style back then.
The advice that I would give, be better. Be better. That's what my Uncle Ted told me. And now I'm the best.
What's my advice for new draft picks? Don't tweet. Don't go on Reddit. Stay off the internet, really, for any reason.
Embrace it. Embrace it. It's the best day of your life.
Oh, baby. Let's go. Man, brings a tear to your eye, does it not, fellas? Remembering draft night.
Emotional.
Oh, my goodness.
I remember crying many tears. many tears.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the draft show.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. Another draft
Weezer.
live show is upon us.
Man.
We are right here. That's right. Downstairs, we got the bar
live
going.
crowd loves it.
We are live in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota Stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. I'm telling you guys, I'm jacked up after that intro. Ready for this draft.
Man, I'm hyped, but I'm also a little emotional looking back on our journey here.
It's true, man.
I've grown so much emotional, like maturity-wise.
Not hyped.
Physically? Not height-wise at all.
Maturity-wise.
Physically. Guys, we have a great show for you. Every single pick, we're going to be breaking it down and telling you what it means from a Denver Nuggets perspective. I'm not going to lie to you. Not every pick has a Denver Nuggets perspective. We'll break it down nonetheless. We'll talk about all the trades. It's a night I anticipate a lot of trades. And again, everything from a Denver Nuggets lens. Over here, the short one, Brendan Vogt.
I did come up with the bit, so if you're feeling bad for me, don't. I will say, I'm really excited to do this draft because it's different this year. We've got our own draft guide. So if you're at home and you're a diehard, if you're in the bar listening downstairs, you're a diehard, get that draft guide out. It's going to come in handy here as you make references and just get the skinny on who's being drafted and where and why. And my goodness, is it Miller time?
It's already Miller time, brother.
What a treat.
That's right. We do have the draft guide. You could follow along with us. We put a lot of love into that one. Diehards only. We're going to have more and more content like that. Over here, the man whose wardrobe never ages poorly.
Me?
Oh. Well.
Wait.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Ryan Green, RG, who put that video together, man. Masterful job.
So well done.
The funniest thing is here at the DNVR bar, we have ESPN right next to our show, on a screen, literally doing the same exact intro, only serious, not a parody.
Legit one of my favorite videos we've ever put out.
A banger.
So good.
And then, of course, rounding out the show, the cool one, Superstar Dev.
I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on, but this is one of my favorite times of the year. It's not even really about the draft. It's the skits. I love the skit that we get to do with that. And then just like how hype, people are. Harrison puts a lot of time into the draft guides. You guys are pinging all day about different guys. So I'm like, you know what? I need to pay attention. So here I am.
How much have you prepped for this draft?
I'm ready. I am so ready for the draft
Not
now.
an answer to that question.
It wasn't an answer. Well, we'll get him ready because let's do a quick recap of what the Nuggets are facing right now. Harrison, walk us through. What picks do the Nuggets have and what's the story?
Nuggets picking at 28th overall in the first round and 56th overall at the very end of the second round. The storyline in the pre-draft process for Denver is that DaRon Holmes, the big man out of Dayton, is a stone-cold lock to go to the Nuggets.
It was almost too obvious.
They've promised him, reportedly. They love him. That's his absolute floor. He's going to the Nuggets. Look, I don't believe all of that. That's for sure. I don't think they promised him. I feel like there's been a little misdirection there, but I feel like Nuggets fans are going to be absolutely ecstatic if they get DaRon Holmes and disappointed if they don't. That's kind of what it's come to, it feels like.
This is the gamesmanship that always happens, Dev.
Yeah.
You tip a pick because it misdirection, but then the fan base here's the pick and sells themselves on it and they get so excited. And then it's like, no. That was a smoke screen, but then the fan base is upset. I kind of feel like the table has been set for that tonight.
No, for sure. And if I was an agent, I would do it a lot more. I would be setting the table because really everybody starts to buy in. Everybody out there, their idea is that the Nuggets are going to get Holmes. So now you start to believe that. Now maybe I feel like even the front office is like, let's take a look at that, a little bit more. Or you come out and say, hey, we did not do that. But for it to just have no type of conversation whatsoever, it's like maybe there's some legs on this one.
Yeah.
Look, I think they like Holmes.
I do
Absolutely.
too.
I think they really like Holmes. If he falls to 28, I think they pick him. I think he might be number one on their board at 28. Does he get the 28? I don't think so.
It's hard to tell with Cal, and he did like Pickett clearly, then just took Pickett, maybe higher than some people would think. Cal, maybe it's misdirection. Cal also might just tell you exactly what he's thinking, man.
Right.
So getting a read on this is, obviously everyone up here, you hear things, you hear sprinkles. The name of the game is trying to figure out why you're hearing what.
Right.
And that's, it's a lot of fun talking about it and guessing, but the truth is we'll all find out together here tonight.
Yeah. It should be exciting, man. The 28th pick, obviously at the end of the draft, so we're going to kind of see all these other teams.
We've got a while, so get comfortable.
But one thing I'll tell you is I kind of expect a lot of movement this year.
Yeah.
In part because the draft, the reputation for it at least, not a lot of great superstar talent at the top, not an obvious number one pick even. Even at number one, different teams would have different guys there, which is pretty unusual. But also throughout the draft, I think there's going to be a lot of teams that value a guy number 15, where another team would value him at 35. And so I think that sets the table for a lot of trading. I kind of expect it. And there's already been a lot of trading going on before any of this happened. The first one, Mikal Bridges joins his fellow Villanova alums, his fellow champions, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart. He joins them with the Knicks. This was a meme. This was a joke, the way we would talk about Luka and Jokic one day playing together or something like that. Somehow they pulled it off. And I got to say, basketball-wise, 5 first-round picks. I love Mikal Bridges. Did they even need him? Was even a position of need or what have you? But vibes-wise, 100 out of 100. I can't imagine getting to play with your 3 best buddies from your college basketball team. That team's vibes are going to be the best of the NBA, in my opinion.
This would be like if the Nuggets just drafted everybody from Megalex.
Yeah.
Or just fielded a team of Serbians.
Just Serbs, man.
Yeah.
Just
Or
Serbs.
like, can you imagine the vibes?
Jokic, Bogdan, Micic.
Yeah.
You know, who else could we get? Jovic.
Yeah.
Literally just ask Jokic who his best friends are. That's what
And
they
they're
did
like,
for
boom.
Jalen
I mean,
Brunson.
Boban on the team, just, give out high fives and hugs.
Can I just say, Colin Gillespie's agent,
I know.
whatever it takes, man,
I
even
know.
if it's a two-way,
He's
I'm
Villanova
sure
guy,
there's
yeah.
a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, giving up that much for him, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when you think about the vibes, when you think about guys playing for each other, when you think about having a superstar in Brunson and then 5 elite guys around him that are role players and know what to do, you're going to keep your superstar happy. You're going to keep your teammates happy. So I love that they went out and did that. Just more so of the fact of hey, these are guys that really enjoy playing with each other. They're going to play the right way. They play hard there. So good luck to Mikal Bridges, a guy that plays every single game.
Right.
He's playing for a guy that might try to kill him.
Yeah.
48
Mike,
minutes a night.
48
82
minutes
games
a
a year.
Oh, man. That's going to be scary.
Do we already have the first pick? The first pick is coming in already. And it is, of course, the Atlanta Hawks who have the number 1 pick. And they are taking
Pronounce it.
Zachary Risashe.
That's good enough. We'll take it. A big improvement from yesterday.
Thank you so much.
I can tell you've been practicing.
Tell us about this guy.
So Risa Shea, the number 1 pick, I'm going to put every prospect in very simple terms for you guys. Very simple NBA comparisons for you all night.
Okay.
He's the French Michael Porter Jr. How's that? 6'9", a small forward. His best skill right now is 3-point shooting. He projects as a great 3-point shooter. He's got the frame. He's got the length. Just 19 years old, and he was playing in the top league in France and, playing pretty well. His numbers weren't crazy, just like 11 points a game. But it's not hard to see how he could translate to the NBA at that small forward spot. 3-and-D type of guy, more so 3, less D as he enters the league. But I don't think he's a star by any means. I definitely think there's guys with higher upside at the top of this draft. Maybe he's a safer pick than an Alex Sarr, though.
Well, this is by the way, this is sort of a French takeover of the NBA draft this year. A lot of Frenchmen near the top. So I find it kind of interesting. I don't know do you have a bunch of takes on Risa Shea?
I think, generally speaking, this isn't a pick you're excited about in a vacuum for the value here. But in this draft, there just isn't a slam dunk number 1.
All right. Yeah, can we go Conspiracy Corner for a second, Kale? Do we have that?
Oh, I would love to go there.
Can you find Conspiracy Corner? I have a conspiracy for you guys. You said he was, what? What was his comp?
The French Michael Porter Jr.
Well, that's interesting. Because on his team, he's got a Trae Young, right? Currently, who is really good friends with one Michael Porter.
Okay.
We've always thought there's a world where Michael Porter, at the end of his contract or something, maybe tries to team up. That's a guy that maybe in a year or two's time, you look at that and go, well, he's kind of on the Porter path. Porter wants to go play with his buddy. Could be a future Nugget. How far am I going here?
We are deep into Conspiracy Corner.
MPJ on pick
Not
1.
even 15 minutes into the show.
I'm not saying to trade him. I'm saying it could be a trade that presents itself naturally in years
Way to find
come.
the angle. Way to find the angle.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
What?
I don't see that part happening. But, this is an interesting pick because, there's been the idea that he's going to be the number 1 pick, but there's also a guy that's more talented than him in this draft that did not want to go to Atlanta. Atlanta going to number 1 is already shocking. They did not have the best odds. They were a playoff team, or at least the play-in. This is a team that, is far away from being contenders, but also they were still a playoff team. But them going with him number 1, it does answer something. They still have AJ Griffin over there. They still have Sadiq Bey.
Griffin.
Where does he actually put in? And also they want him to get better. You have to play him. You have to. And in the Hawks, do they want to win?
What's interesting is he plays the same position as your best player or the guy who's your core foundational piece in Jalen Johnson. That's a little interesting.
Best player. That's a hot take.
It is a little hot take, but I actually think he's right. Also on it, let's go back real quick to what we were talking about with the Brooklyn Nets. So they trade out Mikal Bridges. Clearly, they are starting a rebuild in earnest.
Yeah.
They have some players. They're a team that is not good, but has a lot of guys I kind of like.
This is the trade that, in the eyes of certain people who do trade grades, wins you the offseason.
Mikal Bridges?
No, like getting all the picks.
Oh, I see.
Right,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's the. I would say it's more that it sets you up to win future off seasons would maybe be the way that I frame it.
Right.
I will go to the Knicks side though. I love it. They were able to retain OG, and I do think one of my takes on this age of parity is go for it. You've had six different champions in 6 years. Not one of them have made it back to the conference finals respectively the year after winning. And so if you look at the East last year, you think if the Knicks are healthy, they're at least in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics have to go and break that pattern now. Everyone that looks at themselves as a team that could win their conference should operate accordingly, in my opinion. The Knicks are one of them. So, I'm a lot of friends back home saying that's too many picks, and I just think screw the picks, man. The East is winnable.
F them picks.
Make yourself better.
There is something to this where we talk about the Nuggets and like, the second apron and what can they do here and what can they do there. But there are teams that every now and then just go Leroy Jenkins and are like, you know what? I don't care. 5 picks, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Now we have no more moves, but this is our squad.
Do it. Celtics are going to be in the second apron.
Yeah.
Knicks are going to be in the second apron.
And
Doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world.
The Nets had, I think, a unique form of leverage in that the Knicks very clearly wanted that guy specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And the Nova guy. And I think sometimes we always talk about the trade market, but I do think each case is a bit more unique than it gets credit for.
Right. It looks like the pick might be in for Washington. Kale took his headphones
They're
off.
on it. They're on it.
One last thing here. Celtics favorites. They're the reigning champs. They're going to bring everybody back, it sounds like. Does the Knicks at this moment sign OG Anunoby as well, $212 million deal, so they'll bring him back. Probably going to lose my guy Hartenstein, but
Your guy.
my guy. But they're obviously a very good team. Are they a competitor now with the Celtics, Dev? Are they going to? Would you pick them to beat them? Basically, what you see.
I don't think that they beat them like that. That Boston team is loaded, and they're loaded for the future, and they're going to go into that second apron. I want to know how they're going to be able to pay as many guys as they are, but I mean that makes sense. But I think that there still are a lot of role players on that team instead of stars, and Boston also has role players and stars. They have 2 of them,
Right.
possibly 3. So I think that they're closer than they ever were. But I just don't think that they're over that hump yet, especially when you think about like how the depth with it.
I think they're contenders.
Kale, is the pick in?
Let's do it.
The pick is in. With the number 2 pick, the Washington Wizards will select Alex Sarr.
Alex Sarr.
Another Frenchman. Man.
Another Frenchman, back-to-back 1-2 for the French.
Holy crap. Is that Wizards fans? I've never seen one.
Alex Sarr, he's the number 1 guy on my board. He was the projected number 1 pick for most of the last year and kind of dipped a little at the last second here. 7 feet tall, an absolute defensive stud. He's a shot blocker. He reminds me of Jaren Jackson Jr., really athletic, a runner, a dunker, runs the floor like a gazelle. I mean, he just looks like a number 1 pick if you just throw on the film. He played in Australia last season in the professional league out there, 10 points per game, 5 rebounds. Obviously didn't have a huge role. But you can see it with him. Super athletic at 7 feet tall, will come into the league and be like a force in the paint defensively, blocking shots, intimidating drivers inside. Looks like he might be able to shoot the 3 as well. I think the offensive game will come later, but I mean, he has all the tools that I think you look for in terms of what guy am I going to take that has the highest ceiling here.
High ceiling, low floor kind of guy. I mean, also like drafting bigs this high. Hashim Thabit comes to mind. Like if it doesn't hit, the guy's a total scrub.
What's up with the defensive prospects that France is generating? I mean, players even, not just prospects. This is the third now entering the league with that really being the calling card. Even Wemby, who's this all-around unicorn, I think his number 1 skill right away is that he's one of the best defenders in the world.
Yeah, I think that this is like the best case scenario though for the Wizards because they are the worst team in the league when you look at the future. At least the Pistons have Cade Cunningham. At least they have, Jalen Durant. I don't know who the Wizards have. So they have a big man of the future because if you look at their roster right now, all they have is Rashawn Holmes and like Marvin Bagley.
They traded Avdia today.
That's their only bigs on the roster. So now you go and you answer that with who arguably is supposed to be the number 1 pick. And also, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick, but he refused to work out for the Atlanta Hawks.
Right.
So this was the top guy that everybody was going after. You get some defense on a team that just lets anybody score on them. But you get to play him, and it's not too much on him. It's not high expectations. He's going to learn. He has to learn, but he's going to be able to play. So I like, them being able to add a guy that is better for them in the future.
And if you're the Wizards, you can just take best player available. Because it's not like you're the Hawks and you're thinking, can't take a point guard because we got Trae Young there.
We have another pick. The 3rd pick is already in. I'm guessing French just based on the... oh, no, it's wrong. Reed Shepherd will be going to the Houston Rockets here. The number 3 pick. I actually like this pick. I don't love this pick for Houston, but I like this pick. Tell us about him.
Yeah, Reed Shepherd reminds you of like a Steve Nash type of guy.
Whoa. That's a pretty high level, yeah.
He's white. He's a point guard.
All right,
Is that where I'm going here?
That's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
What's his hair like?
But I think more likely he's going to play a role that a Dante DiVincenzo plays for the Knicks.
Big scale down.
Off the ball a little bit, but can still play some point guard. Great shooter. I mean, he shot 52% from 3 last season at Kentucky.
52%?
52% from 3 on more than 4 attempts per game. He can score the ball. He has a dribble pull-up game. He can get to the rim. Obviously, like I said, he can shoot the 3. He's an offensive guy, totally. The questions, of course, he's 6'2", pretty athletic. I think he jumped like 40 inches at the combine.
40-inch vertical.
But
that's insane.
Defensively, what is he going to be? That's the biggest thing you worry about with Reed Shepherd.
This guy's nice, though. Have you seen his game, Dev?
Yeah, I mean, he's a bench player. I couldn't even believe it. This guy came off the bench for Kentucky.
So they
were very talented over there. Shot the piss out of the ball. Shooting 50% from beyond the arc is insane. Like, that truly is lights out. High IQ player that, like his processing, he just knows what's happening, where to be the entire time. It's going to be wild to get a guy with this high IQ next to Jalen Green. Like next to those type of guys. And also you have Fred VanVleet already over there. So, like, where is his fit here? I thought that this was going to be a trade.
Well,
that somebody else was going to come in
and
step in here.
And it may very well still be. So here's an interesting thing as we can take a break now. Houston's in an interesting position. They have all kinds of awesome players. They're all young.
A lot of guys.
A lot of guys. Like, they have, to me, some of the best tradable pieces, young guys. And it comes out today from Woj that they have their eye. They make a trade as well. They get a bunch of it. They have their eye on Kevin Durant. And you think, well, Kevin Durant already has a team. Then he comes out and is like, well, hold on, I guess maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything. If Kevin Durant becomes available, we have our eye on him. Matt Ishbia has to come down and tweet.
Matt Ishbia tweeted that he's not available, so we can just stop talking about this.
Can I tell you what? That made me more convinced than ever.
Question.
Of course
that made me more convinced than ever that Kevin Durant's available. Besides Kevin Durant's recent history as an NBA player. Can I just say that as much as Reed Shepherd is very, very, very talented, I don't know how stoked anyone is picking 3 in the draft and getting like a 6'2" white guard.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that feels like a tough outcome. Just immediate optics reaction. Now,
well, it's kind of this draft.
Look, this is a bad draft, and I think if you're the Rockets, look, I'm with you to an extent, Vote.
Yeah.
But if you're the Rockets, like, I feel like this is kind of a safer pick. He's not number 3 pick worthy, obviously, but you know what you're getting at least.
Would you call this a tradable pick?
Absolutely.
Because this is my
thing.
They
should trade it.
I think the Houston Rockets are going to be one of the teams that is a big player either this week as we go to trade season and free agency or during the regular season. I think they're a team that is already clearly planting the seed of, hey, we'd love KD and we have some pieces. I think that there is a belief behind the scenes that KD's not going to make it out the season in Phoenix, despite Matt Ishbia's protestations.
That's crazy.
But wait, did Matt Ishbia's tweet, did that mean that Devin Booker is actually available? Kevin Durant off the table, but he didn't mention Booker.
Did you pull it up, Kale? Did you bring the tweet up? Okay, there you go.
Nobody else brought up Devin Booker. He had to go out there and defend the guy that everybody is talking about because it got leaked.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Alperen Şengün, Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and now Reed Shepherd. Those are all names of players that are actually exciting young players.
You can even name Jayshawn Tate.
Well, Jayshawn Tate's not in that list. But, when you go through a team's young players, sometimes you will mention a Tate. Like, you can start... If you were doing Denver, you're like Julian Strother, guys, Hunter Tyson. But it's like those guys haven't proven anything. These other guys have. They've played minutes and they're all exciting. And now you add that. They have a lot of players that you could trade to a team that was top heavy, like the Phoenix Suns, that might intrigue them because you could trade multiple pieces. So I just look at Houston and I go, that wasn't a mistake. Woj wasn't wrong. Woj was planting a seed of something that he clearly knows is out there and everybody in the NBA world knows is out there, which is Phoenix probably doesn't really love KD and has to find a smart, gentle way to get rid of him without blowing their cover.
That trade made them worse. That trade made them worse.
Well, how'd they do in the playoffs this year?
Not great.
Well, I don't know. According to Matt Ishbia, 28 teams would trade places with them.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Are the Nuggets one of the two that wouldn't?
I don't know. Only
eyes?
Matt Ishbia knows. He's apparently, taking a tally of all 30 teams. 28 of them would trade places.
You know how cocky and just like naive you have to be to say 28 other teams. We've asked 30 guys.
Yeah, we've done our internal polling.
29 other guys.
Can I sneak a SAR take in before we move on?
Let's do
it.
it.
Quick. Red flag. Red flag that he doesn't want to go to Atlanta at 1, but is willing to go to Washington. I'm so serious. One of those orgs. Now, I know Atlanta feels a bit like purgatory, but Washington is hell.
But if he goes to Atlanta, there's a chance he has to play behind Clint Capella.
Yeah, all right.
Jalen Johnson is there too. You go to Washington, you're the number one guy. Like, it's just setting you up for.
You'll be the number one guy. You get to be the guy.
All right.
You're not going to ever be the guy in Atlanta, or it's going to take a while. There's young pieces over there.
Yeah,
he's clearly not in it for the winning. He doesn't care about the winning portion of it.
He will leave you the banners. He'll take the bag.
Yeah.
Well played. One other trade, speaking of the Wizards, one other trade that happened today, Deni Avdija, as you mentioned, the Israeli Serb.
My brethren.
is going to the Blazers for Malcolm Brogdon and the 14th pick. We've all liked Avdija. Crazy stat, courtesy of Tom Haberstroh, younger than Dalton Connect.
That is crazy.
Which I feel like Avdija's been around for so long.
I was a sneaky second draft guy right there. You can say, well, it looks expensive, but one of the picks they gave up was in this draft, which no one loves.
Yeah.
And you get a young guy with some upside.
Dude, it's funny. I have two guys that I massively know I'm overrating. One of them is Avdija, and the other one is Fontecchio.
You're still in on Fontecchio.
Just because of Europe, man. The guy was incredible. Same with Avdija. I'm like, I don't know. These guys are awesome. Even though they're not awesome in any other setting.
What I was thinking about with the Avdija trade is the second apron, or we can get to it after this.
Oh, but pick is in for San Antonio, picking number 4. They have 2 picks here in the top 8. Number 4 is Stephen Castle. Isn't it? This was mocked by ESPN all week. I kind of felt like this was going to be the pick.
Yeah, we probably don't have to spend that much time on it, but Steph Castle, I comped him to Derek White, actually. Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, 6'5", 6'6", 19 years old, one and done at UConn, just won a national championship. Really high recruit too, but had to play a specific role in college. Seems like a high floor pick for San Antonio. And they need guards. They need people to get Wemby the ball. So.
Yeah, but is this a high upside pick is my question.
I don't know if it is, yeah.
I think it's a great fit because he considers himself like a point guard. And that's what Wemby needs. And also, with that UConn team and him specifically, locked down. People cannot score on him. And you have a guy that's like a point of attack defender that's willing to not be a superstar. Like, he doesn't care about taking shots, but he wants to lock his guy down. That's what Wemby needs. He needs a guy that's going to be good point of attack because you have a generational defender behind him. And then also a guy that's like unselfish. So I think that this is a great fit for the Spurs.
He's such a Spur.
He is a Spur.
Yeah.
Really. And then you talk about the Derek White comp. Derek White, that's where he made his name as a Spur. So I think that this is a great fit for a player like that.
Any other thought? Do you have a thought on Stephen Castle?
I think it seems like a nice, responsible, neat pick that could work out for the Spurs. Does this feel just on its face boring to anyone else?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It just kind of feels
Well,
boring.
it's because it's the Spurs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's what it is.
I want to go back to Avdia for a second in the Avdia trade. We've all talked about Avdia. I think it is a good second draft guy, and it's worth a flyer. When you're Portland, you need to pick up those guys. But the bigger piece to me is Brogdon. So Brogdon gets moved. He's got 1 year remaining on his deal. He is, to me, a buyout candidate. Like, he's a guy that I would not be surprised if he gets bought out late in the season and is a guy that is available. And Brogdon's always filled a little bit like a Nugget. You need a backup point guard. If the Nuggets go into the year and it doesn't work out with a Pickett or whoever it is that they go there, you go to the buyout market. And that's just, I only put that there to say, I don't think it's crazy to think that Brogdon could be available come, February next year.
I think he would be incredible as a Nugget, though.
As soon as this trade was made, he immediately goes to number one on the potential buyout guy
Number one?
power ranking. I mean, right now, you just look at guys that could get bought out. Malcolm Brogdon, top of that list probably. And if you're thinking about the Nuggets getting him in the buyout market, they can't be in the second apron. He's making over $13 million.
Oh, that's a great point.
But he's also a great buyout candidate in that coming off a bad injury, like increasingly old and washed. He's the kind of guy you talk yourself into midseason because you need ball handling, and then he gets there and he's very underwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I'm like, you know what? I don't know.
But he's an upgrade. And that's what you need. And he's a good two-way guy that knows his role. I'm actually shocked to see how things have taken a turn with him just being on different teams, because people were making it seem like he was one of the best guards at the time. And then things just kind of went wrong for him. But as a vet minimum or just a buyout guy, I think that he's a perfect fit. And a lot of teams are going to covet a guy like that.
Can I say something on the Avdia trade?
Yeah.
That part of it. So there have been a couple guys floated out there that could be available right now. Avdia was a name. He just got traded. Dorian Finney-Smith in Brooklyn. And Bobby Portis, his name is on the block too. What's happening right now pertaining to the Nuggets with that is they're getting absolutely screwed by this second apron thing. And they're also getting screwed by the fact that the draft's happening before free agency.
Yeah.
Because the Nuggets, to trade for one of those guys, they have to combine Zeke and Reggie's contract to get up to the $12 million that Avdia was making, the $12 million that Portis is making. I think around the same for Finney-Smith. They can't do that when they don't know the future of KCP. So the Nuggets are kind of in this holding pattern right now where they can't combine those salaries. They can't trade for those guys right now. If KCP opts out and he doesn't come back, yeah, they can trade for him, but I wonder if those guys will still be on the market, a week from now.
Yeah. That is an interesting wrinkle. It is weird how these things happen in different stages like that. It kind of hurts you for sure. All right. Let's go to our guys here because we haven't gotten to our guys yet, and we're still away. We've been all these more or less our guys that are in the range of the Nuggets. So it's not, we're throwing out some of these top 10 guys. We'll start with my guys. Why not, Kale? Sounds good. Ryan Dunn, I like. Defensive guy out of Virginia. Reminds me a lot of Peyton Watson.
It's your number one overall.
I didn't know we were numbering these, to be honest with you, but probably he might be number one. I love Ryan Dunn. I love Ryan Dunn, and I think he is an incredible defender. He has not a lot of offense to him. I just have a belief that Jokic can bring some offense out of him and that Denver has a runway to kind of develop an offensive game to him. But defensively, he's every bit as good as Peyton Watson, if not maybe even a little bit better. Same athleticism, length, and I just think that those guys are needed. Shireman, shooter, I like a lot. I think Denver could use a shooter. They need more shooting, and if you're going to take a young guy, I think you got to bolster some of the offense. He's a smart guy, high IQ, moves off the ball well, has some game. DaRon Holmes, interesting one. I would be happy if they got him. Those top three guys, to me, I'd be happy if Denver took him at 28. But the bottom two guys are my sleepers. And I actually really love these two guys. These are the ones that get me excited, but they're projected so low, so it makes me scary. Mogbo, to me, is the guy that I said is an Aaron Gordon replacement. Physically, very, very similar. Has some passing in his game, high IQ, great story. And then Jalen Wells, phenomenal, tall shooter, reminds you of Cam Johnson. Another guy who has a great story. Nobody knew who this guy was a year ago, and he shot up all the way now to being a draft candidate. So that's my 5. If Denver ended up with any of those guys, I'd be happy. Those last two, if you drafted them at 28, it would be wild and I think you would get a D grade from all these draft analysts because they are not projected to go that high.
Right.
But you know what? Maybe you trade back. Maybe you just reach. Who knows?
So I reported this afternoon. Mogbo had a workout with the Nuggets.
Wind chime.
I heard that he crushed it. And then I also heard the Nuggets wanted to bring him back for a second workout, which doesn't always happen, but he couldn't make it with scheduling stuff. I think there might be some interest there. I don't know if it's at 28. I don't know if he's a trade back guy because his range is like late first, but maybe early second round too.
So let's say that he's projected to go 36 and Denver wants to trade back 28, back 8 spots to 36. What does that deal look like? Denver has traded 28 for 36 and
cash consideration.
This is the point, is that this draft is so flat and those spots are so
You might as well
condensed.
just take your guy.
That's what I'm saying.
I kind of agree, but immediate reaction taking your guy. Like, I just think Booth is in a spot where even if it's the right pick,
Yeah.
if he reaches to
So
take
true.
someone, the initial reaction is going to be, I
gonna
think,
be
palms
rough.
and hands.
What would you think
Palms
if
and
that
face,
pick was
hands and
Mogbo
palms?
at 28?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I would have loved it, honestly, just because of his fit in college. Like, he went to a smaller school. They had him playing the 5. So, like, it's good that he's a versatile guy, but, like, his actual fit in the NBA is a wing because that's the size that he is. So, I mean, on the bright side, the Nuggets, they play their guys out of position all the time, so he already knows how to play that. But this is not a knockdown shooter. His mechanics are very low.
Yeah.
But he rebounds well. He knows how to defend out of position. So you do like those type of things. I just worry about the shooting.
Yeah. The pick is in, by the way, for Detroit. They are taking Ron Holland. There was a lot of speculation that they would be trading the pick. Woj reporting that they will not. Trajan Langdon, a new GM there in Detroit. So this was always going to be, to me, a very interesting pick. They're keeping it. They're taking Ron Holland, it appears.
This is the first surprise of the draft, I feel like.
Yeah.
Look, we knew there were going to be some crazy picks in terms of where guys were projected and where they went just in a draft like this. But this is as high as I haven't seen him this high in really any mocks. This is a pure upside pick. Ron Holland, 18 years old still, played for the G League Ignite last year, 6'6", 6'7". He's got the body of an NBA player. You know, he's a great athlete as well. Defensive stopper. He's got a ton of upside. He's got a really high ceiling. Pretty raw right now. Like, I don't know what his elite offensive skill is, if he has one. But, you know, you watch him and you're like, is that Jimmy Butler? I don't know. Maybe. He kind of moves like him in that, like, slow motion fashion, but then can speed up really quick when he gets
he's
into the paint.
Faster, I think. Yeah.
So he's a pure upside play. Played for the G League Ignite this last season. I'm not surprised the Pistons went this route. That's kind of like their position of need on the wing, and he's a small forward.
I'll say this. I'm buying Piston stock. That's like always a bad thing to say. You should never buy Piston stock. I'm buying it, and it's all because I just believe in Trajan Langdon. Everything I've heard about that guy, I think he's good.
Yeah.
I kind of thought this was a guy that if he slid too far, someone was getting a steal. This might be a bit too early, and it might be the wrong landing spot. And I know it's a new regime with new ideas, but like upside athleticism, but, you know, not polished yet. Going to Detroit, man, it just feels like potential going to die. I mean, it could hopefully not the case, but I did think there was a place where you draft him where the value was great, but I feel like maybe this is a bit too early in the wrong landing spot. That's probably my big take.
I think that with these G League Ignite type of players, I don't think people know how to, you know, decide where they are, like, or where they look like in the league. Because, like, I mean, he put up monster numbers, but everybody did in that league. So I think that they go off of before that, and this was like a high. You know, he was super high before he went to G League. If he went to a college, I think that he would have been higher. Or this would have been where he was. But this is a jump. Like, most mock drafts have this guy at about 9-10 range. Some of them have him beyond the 10 range. So I think that this is a new coach, a new GM that's just really just taking a chance on a guy that they feel can move it, and if they don't, it's Detroit, so it doesn't matter as much.
Would you invest in Ron Holland stock if you could?
Yeah.
You would invest in it?
Yeah. I mean, former second-ranked recruit, I think, in his class just last year.
What if there was a place where you could invest in Ron Holland stock?
I would probably download that app with the QR code on the screen.
Well, it's a good question. It's a good answer because I've got just the app for you. Vestibule. What if you could buy...
is this an ad?
Yeah, it is, actually. What if you could buy stock in athletes? Now you finally can. There's a new app called Vestibule, a first-of-its-kind investment app where fans can invest in an athlete's career. and get paid a portion of the athlete's income throughout it for doing so. You heard that right. Finally, fellas, real athlete stocks, not just something we say on podcasts anymore. The first athlete they're launching with is one of our very own here in Denver, Baron Browning, outside linebacker for the Broncos, explosive, dominant young pass rusher. He's on his rookie contract and heading for what could be a great extension. You could invest in that with Vestibule. Baron's IPO is live right now and shares are available for purchase, but they are limited. So go download the Vestibule app now and invest.
Real quick, want to tell everybody, if you're tweeting, and want to tweet at us, use the hashtag DraftDay24. And also, if you see any funny tweets, tag us in them and use that hashtag DraftDay24. We want to pull them up on the show. If you have a funny tweet, you can tag us as well. All of that. We got a couple super chats, Kale. You want to get to those real quickly? Let's get to a couple of them. We'll try to read these every hour or so.
I bet right now we extend KCP. No way he leaves. Plus, if we don't get Holmes, we get a better version of Jamal. Don't jinx that, Kale. P.S. I wish D-Line was here.
I wish D-Line was here as well.
Me too.
He probably wishes
He's
he was
doing more
here
important stuff.
instead of
He's
you.
smoking heaters and drinking rockets.
Getting engaged.
It is 3 a.m. in the morning.
The most Serbian engagement celebration you could possibly imagine.
Oh, it's perfect.
A
It
stray.
looked perfect.
I'm hoping we keep KCP, but I'm still thinking that if we don't get Holmes for whatever reason, the fan base is going to riot against Booth.
I think you're right, Astray.
We've had that ingrained on this one player.
I'm telling you, it is so true, man. I actually think that Calvin Booth doesn't have great outs to winning the presser. I think he is almost certainly going to go through a summer of the fan base being mad. And I say that perhaps rightfully so. I'm not trying to take a side on this one because I think that we are in a moment where we could see the Nuggets breaking any direction. The thing is, I don't know that the Nuggets could win the press conference outside of signing Keithby. I think that's the only win the press conference thing the Nuggets can do this whole summer.
Not just DaRon Holmes.
DaRon Holmes, we'll see.
Go Woj bomb.
We don't know. So you didn't want to do this because you didn't know if that meant the pick is in. That felt like it's like the pick is questionable. Donovan Clingan, by the way, we can get to him as he's kind of a guy that's next. Enormous. And here's one thing I think, Dev. Center in Minnesota, Rudy Gobert, shot blocker. Center in Oklahoma City, shot blocker Chet Holmgren. Utah, Walker Kessler. Portland, the only guy in the division missing, and they want to take a shot-blocking 7'2" guy. I'm saying that could be the best rim-protecting division in all of Denver.
Yeah.
Or in all of the NBA.
Yeah, and it makes sense for a team like Portland. It doesn't make sense with the next pick is the Hornets. They already have some bigs and things like that. But yeah, that West is going to be a gauntlet if they were to get something like it. So I'm actually hoping that he does not go there. I do think that he would give problems. Does Jokic score on him? Every single time. But also he's going to give him some problems. But this is one of the good picks in the draft. These are one of the people that can alter your team. So I think that this is a very important pick. So him coming up, I'm excited to see where he goes. Hopefully to the East.
Hopefully to the East, man. I'm telling you, I think the big man is coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's tough because you have to find the right value for the big men because they can be limited. But there's clear value in having, especially with Jokic in the West, there's clear value to having a 7'7" wingspan guy.
Totally, man. And there's some rumblings that the Lakers are going to take a big man as well, whether that's a Misi from Baylor or a Zach Edey. But wow, it just got really smoky up here.
I thought I was tripping. I was writing you guys to ask that. It threw me off in the last one.
Smoky up here.
Is there a fire in the bar?
Yeah, guys, you have to smoke your joints outside. Actually,
Yeah, no smoking inside, Kale. But no, Donovan
That would be
Clingan,
a weird twist for the show.
A lot of people had Donovan Clingan as their top-rated guy on the board, or their second-rated guy on their board. He projects as an absolute Rudy Gobert dominant presence in the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, so it should be interesting. Let's get to some more of our guys. Why don't you bring up Brendan Vogt? Let's get Brendan Vogt's guys here. Walk us through what you're wanting here, Vogt.
Yeah, look, DaRon Holmes, I just think I'm in on trying to find a backup big that they kind of have to thread a needle. They've got to be playable because you need one.
Can't be too good, though.
But you can't be too good because they're not going to play that much. And they're not going to reach their full potential in Denver. But
unless
I think
you play with Jokic.
Holmes is maybe a guy that can pick and pop, can pick and roll, moves all right, good enough for me. We've heard enough about him. That's an option I want. I really like Jalen Tyson as well. Wynn sold me on this as
there you go, vote.
Secondary ball handling, and I don't
don't
mean a backup point guard. I mean a bigger guy that can be a secondary ball handler in different lineups. Now, look, traditionally, the backup point guard right now plays with the starters, and Murray plays with the backups. I don't think it hurts to think of guys that long-term could play alongside Murray. Can play off ball because of their size. They can dribble a little when they need to. Just gives you more lineup versatility. I want to take a break here as this pick is in.
Oh my goodness, a pick is in. Who's selecting here?
I believe it's Charlotte.
Yeah, they did not draft.
Oh.
That is a lie.
That is a lie.
That's not the right pick.
There it is.
Oh, baby.
Salon.
You don't want to try the first name?
Tidiane Slalane.
So I told you guys that I was going to give you very basic NBA comps.
Yeah.
This whole show. You watch Salon on film. I feel like I'm watching Giannis Antetokounmpo before he got drafted by the Bucks, man.
That's right. Yeah.
6'11", a ridiculous athlete. I don't really know what he's good at. Looks like he could have a three-point shot.
Yeah.
Looks like he could be like a beast playing power forward. He has like all the upside in the world, though. And another Frenchman, too. Is that the third one to already go in the top 6?
Yeah.
That's crazy. He reminds me, if I'm just going to throw a more realistic comp out there, to like a Lauri Markkanen, that type of player. Inside, outside, in the future, can score, can play all over the court. He's not close to being ready, I don't think. But, I mean, the potential is through the roof.
Dre, do we know what's going on right now?
The studio is like, I can barely see Kale.
Are the patrons safe? Are the patrons
Can we
safe
like
downstairs?
open like a door or something? Like, is there some burgers on the grill?
Yeah, let's air it out. I think that this, like, I think you saying.
Just don't worry about it.
I think you saying the Giannis pick is great. Like, really. And
Watch
it's not,
the film.
It's not even only for the body. Like, he does not shoot threes, like, ever, because he gets to wherever he wants on the floor. 18, he has the lean body where he's just super athletic and just. He knows what he wants, and it's not settling for shots. Like, he's going to go and dunk it every single time. I can't believe that the French are just taking over like this. Another one. 3 out of, like, 6, 7. And then also, him going right now pushes it for Klingon to, like, go next. Portland might get their guy. So Klingon is going to go back, in the West. But, yeah, for him specifically, He knows what he wants to do on the court.
You can
and
make the argument he has the highest upside or one of the highest upsides in the draft. 2 ways. Does a little bit of everything.
You want to go back to your guys here?
Yeah, sure. So Jalen Tyson, I'll leave it there. I know Wynn's going to wax poetic later. 3, nothing wrong with a bucket. Terrence Shannon Jr., he's your bucket option. A little older, a little more ready-made.
He almost made my list. Doesn't pass to anyone.
Doesn't pass to anyone. But a ready-made scorer off the bench, you can talk yourself into it. And then I kind of scaled this for draft range, right? Like, so Tristan Newton I like in the second round. And I have him at 4 there because he lines up with that late 50s pick. A guy maybe that could go undrafted, but I think maybe there's value there. And then Mogbo, and I have him at 5 because of where he's mocked. It's probably too early for your second-round pick. It's probably...
telling you, I love that guy.
But drafting him at 28 feels like a bit of a reach, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
but I want to have him on there. You want to talk about? We joked about having someone to do Aaron Gordon's job for him. How about someone we come to Aaron Gordon? I'll take Mogbo on my list.
The funniest outcome today is if the Nuggets
The
trade.
smoke alarm going off in the studio?
Well, that would be funny as well. So the funniest outcome would be if the Nuggets trade to 31 and we don't get a pick till tomorrow.
That would suck.
Just a total tease. It's like, well.
Oh, that would suck.
3-hour draft show?
Yeah, that would be
just setting the table for everyone
Hot
else.
dogs and hot takes, as a 85 Ramos says there. That's coming up in a few minutes. It will just naturally come up. We won't even
show
know.
up on the screen? You can actually see how smoky it is. I feel like we might be dying at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, maybe carbon monoxide, maybe from the kitchen. I don't know.
All right, let's get to some more of my guys. Let's go down to Superstar Dev.
I'm very curious to hear who your guys are.
Wait, real quick. Actually, we've got a pick.
All right, bring it
All
out.
right,
Bring it
let's
out.
get a pick.
But you also see my guys.
Yeah, there is your guys.
Filipowski really did.
Yes. Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right, hold on. We're on Klingen? Oh, that's who the pick was. Oh, I see. And he's going to Portland, so there it is. The division now. Rim protectors in every corner of the division.
And you got to think DeAndre Ayton on the move. Who's going to want him? Let's set up the bidding war now.
Once the driveway thaws out, he'll move right out.
He can only leave in the summer. So trade for him before like October. Devs guys?
Yeah, of course, this is a guy. Like, I mean, his stock went just because he dominated this year. Like he had UConn playing their best basketball. He had 4 dominant defenders around him, and he protected everything. And then also he scores. He gets what he wants. He knows, what it is that he's supposed to do on the floor. You don't have to run the offense through him. He'll go work for it. That's a good pick for Portland. Like you could get excited about this, and then they have like 4 more picks coming, maybe 3. I don't know what happens with the trade that they had now. But if you set the tone with this one, this is a good one for Chauncey.
I mean, you just look at who you've got there now. You've got Scoot and him. And you got more stuff to make trades. You got Anthony Simons, too, who I actually think is maybe the guy they should be building around the backcourt.
Yeah, but this is what, like, now there really is, like, there has to be something for Ayton and Robert Williams, right? Like, those two are
for sure.
over there.
That's right. Robert
now
Williams
they
as
have,
well.
like, a way to try
Welcome
to
to
move
Denver.
things around.
Like Robert Williams, though, Klingen, foot injury in his past. So you always get nervous about that, or I always do with a 7-footer.
Sure.
So
Totally.
that could be one part of it. All right, Devs guys. I can't wait to hear the defense here.
Let's just go to Filipowski right off the bat.
Yeah, Ryan Dunn, we've heard about. We've already got that. Terrence Shannon, you want to talk about Terrence?
Well, let me
I should have guessed. We should have all guessed each other's guys.
We should have, man.
Terrence
Y'all
Shannon
would
was a
have knew these
lock.
ones? Y'all would have knew these ones for me?
What's that?
Terrence Shannon
Was a lock. That's the only one. But
Guy
that
Filipowski.
So,
Baylor
number
by
one,
Coach
I think that number one, Ryan Dunn, it all goes around KCP. Like, if you don't have KCP, you go after Ryan Dunn and you push up. It sucks that it's right now because, I know that they hope that they had something there. But this tells you, like, if they're moving in that direction. If they go and draft Ryan Dunn, I think that KCP leaves. If they don't, if he's still available, it answers some things. So I like the Ryan Dunn. Terrence Shannon Jr., he has Nuggets connections. A couple of years ago when he was with Texas Tech, he was working out with the Nuggets guys. I think that this was a Monte Morris, like under wing.
Study?
Understudy. There you go.
Wow.
He like worked out with Denver.
Chime from Dev.
So like Terrence Shannon Jr. has that, and also he was a bucket this year. He was like incredible. That run, that's big. He put up like 20 points a game, and I think that if he did not have the off the court things happening, he would have went a lot, before. I'm glad that it happened. I mean, that it got cleared up before we got to this point. But this is a Nugget guy because you need a guy off the bench that's going to be able to score every single time, and he does that. We want to go to what? Your guy,
Filipowski.
Hey, it was your guy. Yeah, he's my guy. I am tired of seeing no backup center for the Nuggets.
All right.
And this is a guy that's in that like mark. Like he's around there. We're not asking for anybody. Like it's him. And if he's available, I think that they should go after a backup. DeAndre Jordan's not playing much. Zeke Naji is not playing at all. Get rid of those type of guys, and I think that it'll go a long way if Jokic has a guy that you could throw out there for a few minutes and go there. So I think that that's a good fit.
By the way, Wynn's entire counter argument is he's a good player, but I just don't want him.
Yeah.
Just to recap.
Yeah,
that's
my
Wynn's
argument.
counter argument.
I just don't get a good vibe.
It's an interesting list. You'd also Shireman was on there.
Yeah. I love guys that get asked to do something and then they go do it. Shireman came into senior year. They was calling him fat. They said that he was out of shape and he needed to change his body. He went out and he did that and put up a monster year. You also don't have to run the offense through him, but he gets it done. He's a floor spacer that Denver needs. They need more shooting. They need a guy that's going to do the dirty work. They need a guy that'll be okay going into the G League or that's going to make guys work. So that's why I like Shireman.
Okay,
nice.
I just thought you liked him because of his race, but that's huge turn.
What was the last guy?
Holmes.
Oh, and then DaRon Holmes.
Yeah.
So you'd be happy with him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, his name has just been tied to so much. So I feel like they're like where there's smoke, there's fire, and I just now noticed that.
Where there's smoke, there's a live draft show also.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
There must be a big fire.
Hopefully
somewhere
not
this
in
bar.
terms of the DNVR bar.
There certainly is a lot of smoke.
Does anyone have my inhaler?
Yeah. This really is a hot box and hot takes.
Can I upgrade my company health insurance real quick? Do we have life insurance?
Klingon, by the way, longer and taller than Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's enormous.
And Kessler was actually my comp in the draft guide for him.
I think the comp is so perfect that it'll probably take him 2 seasons before he realizes they're different people.
I know, they kind of look the same.
I'm like,
too.
I'm playing this guy again. This is like the 7th time this year. It's like it's a different guy, actually.
He's huge there.
Yeah,
Just
he's
a
huge.
monster.
And he's a champion as well,
Yeah, winner.
which
Yeah,
means something.
I kind of would just, if I could, draft all the UConn guys.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, they're probably good.
They are probably good.
We don't know. They're just they were a great unit. We don't know how they are individually.
That's why they're all great second-round picks. They're winners.
Yeah.
They're winners.
We might have a little bit of time here now to get to wins, guys. Let's find
now
out
we're
wins,
talking.
guys. Save the best for last. The worst for last.
Jalen Tyson, my guy.
Start the train.
If they draft Jalen Tyson, I'm going to run around the bar and do a lap, just high-fiving people. I might drink that pony cake at Christmas ale as well.
Stop
It's been
lying.
sitting there for 3 years.
Tonight
Stop
might
teasing.
be the night
All right.
if they draft Jalen
Why?
Tyson. Why? Because he's the closest thing in this draft to Bruce Brown, I think.
Okay.
He can play both backcourt spots. He can play the 3 as well. He can create offense. He's 6'7", and he's like offensive juice. He's offensive juice that the Nuggets need in their
Good
backcourt.
size, man.
He's what the Nuggets were hoping Reggie Jackson was.
Yeah.
I like Ryan Dunn as well. I think the draft is where teams like the Nuggets have to get these types of defenders. That's why they got Peyton Watson there. I like Ryan Dunn in that same vein. I like Baylor Shireman as well. I think he might be the pick at 28 for Denver if he's on the board. He reminds me of Joe Ingles. He can pass a little too. Have you seen his passing,
Yeah.
Shireman?
Yeah. Joe Ingles is almost more of like a playmaker. There's a difference between a passer and a playmaker.
But Shireman used to be a point guard as well.
Yeah.
Used to be a point guard before he grew.
I actually think he's good. Shireman, if he wasn't so goofy looking, he does that. We did this when we did his preview. The shooter that wears the headband,
Yeah.
it's such a distinct guy.
The bust vibes are strong.
No, it's just the bust look guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The
well, he looks
appearance,
like it,
the
but I think he's
appearance
actually.
of it.
I
Yeah.
actually think he's kind of a high floor guy.
What if he didn't look like Hunter Tyson?
I think it's actually more Kevin Huerter. He has more of a Kevin Huerter. All right, the San Antonio Spurs have their pick in, their second pick of the draft, and they are taking Rob Dillingham.
Whoa!
Dev's got thoughts.
Dillingham.
Dev's got thoughts.
Dev, you want to start?
Goodness. You want to talk about a bucket?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is a true bucket in every sense of the word. This is wild. Like, they got 2 guys that are backup. that are backup guys. He was off the bench as well. But you want to talk about electric? This guy, he looks like he's playing in Black Forces. Like, he gives that type of energy at all time. White beater.
The shirt.
Yeah, sorry.
He's a straight hooper, man.
Tank top and Black Forces.
Dev's takes are so much different than mine.
I got to actually see him at the grind session. They came to Colorado.
Oh, some in-person scouting.
In-person scouting. He was at the Donda Academy. So
gotcha.
Kanye West had a high school. He was the star of that team. He put up like 25 a game, 27 a game, all D1 guys. He's dunking every single time, and he's tiny. Energy the entire time. Like, that's going to be incredible if he's the one that's because you got to get a defender, and they got that in their last pick.
Right.
Now you have a scorer.
Could be
at
the backcourt
guard
of the
spot.
future right there.
You have a backcourt, and then you have Wemby behind you. Because this guy, no lie, we could probably all score on Robert Dillingham. Honestly, he's like one of the worst defenders.
Well, we all
there
might
ever
be
was.
taller than him too.
But he might
Let's not
score
get carried away.
150 points on us in a regular game. He
Yeah.
can score every single time. Like this, he's incredible. Really, he's the most electric player in the draft.
And chat saying,
Wait a second. We've got a trade. We have a trade. He is not going to San Antonio. Who would you guess loves hoopers? Who do you guys
are you
know that
saying
loves
he's nice
hoopers?
with the Rock?
Hold on. Who loves hoopers?
Nice with the Rock?
The Tim Conley and the Minnesota Timberwolves have traded for their favorite hooper, Rob Dillingham. Yeah, you were cheering for a rival. I hope you enjoyed that.
You want to talk about black forces? You put black force energy next to Anthony Edwards.
Oh no,
they're gonna be scary. Because really, they didn't have a backup point guard. You have Mike Conley, and then you have a guy that's way different than Mike Conley. Like they say, he's a microwave scorer that he really just can break a guy down and just go and score the basketball.
I think that's the great kind of archetype for them to bring in. Just one more
Off the
guy.
bench.
Yeah,
As soon as you get him off, you get Anthony Edwards off the floor. You have another guy that you put the ball in his hands, and he goes and gets it. This was like a reach, right? Like how far back was?
It's not that big of a reach. I don't think projected like in the 10 to
I'm
13
saying
range.
for Minnesota to win it.
For Minnesota, absolutely.
The crowd's
Let me
booing.
say this though. Let me say this. 3 years ago, Tim Connolly, as the GM for a very good Nuggets team, drafted Bones Highland. This is the same thinking with Rob Dillingham. A microwave scorer, an absolute hooper, who's actually a guy that's been comped to Bones Highland in the past. He's a much better player. This is the same type of thinking from Tim Connolly with this pick. Let's get just some instant offense off the bench. And I mean, Dillingham can absolutely fill it up. He can shoot it, shot like 44% from 3 last year. He can get to the rim. He can break his guy down off the dribble. He's electric on the offensive end of the floor. And look, Minnesota, they have the defenders to cover up his weaknesses on defense.
Tim is so funny, man.
Dude,
he has a type.
He's drafted poorly though these last little bits. So he is. I feel like he has taken. I guess there have been a couple hoopers. There's been a couple hoopers he's
This
drafted.
is a hooper though.
Yeah.
This is really wild. I think that going after him that early is shocking.
Zach Edey is headed to Memphis. Dude, the West is like we got Yoke. Everybody in the West is like, what's the tallest guy we could draft? Let's go out and get him. How many 7'2" or taller guys are now in the West? Like 9 of them?
Also, 7'4", I know it's only 2 inches, but when you're
that's a lot.
Multiple inches taller than 7'2",
yeah.
this is Freakenstein.
So the Memphis Grizzlies have Zach Edey to go alongside Jaren Jackson. I actually think that's a really nice fit. It's a bit of a scary pick, man. I'm not going to lie. That's an interesting one.
What do you think, Win?
I mean, one of my predictions coming into the draft was somebody was going to jump on Zach Edey. And, that's what's happened in the top 10 here.
You have to jump pretty high.
I would need a ladder.
I mean, I'd be really scared to take Edey this high. I would be. But I do think there's some potential, you could potentially hit really big on this. Best player in college the last couple of years, back-to-back NCAA Player of the Year. I do think there was a little bit of just people overthinking it with him.
Really?
But that being said, still a huge risk. Because he just might not be playable for more than, 15, 20 minutes a night.
And it might take him 2 minutes to get on the other side of the court. This is Yao Ming speed type of guy.
Right.
He is very slow. So him making that transition to the NBA, that's where you're going to see the biggest effect when it comes to him. He is incredible in the half court set, but once you get to fast pace, he's not going to be able to keep up with guys. But you do take a flyer on him. He's gonna make your big men better. He's gonna make your guards better in practice. You're gonna have to try to score around him. He's gonna be able to alter shots. So you do take a flyer on a guy like that. I feel like a lot comes with him. Even though he doesn't ask for it, a bit, much of the circus of, hey, he's way, he's the 2-time best player in college. He's the tallest man ever. But he also can play basketball. I do think that you're taking him a little early, and I'm shocked that he went this early. But he has the numbers, he has the accolades to defend this type of take.
This might be the Luka pick where it's he's dominated every level, but he won't be good at the next one.
I was going to say, how much of a risk is there? Everyone hates the top end of this draft, and look, Alex Sarr, who I understand is a measurements pick, averaged 9.6 points per game, and was everyone wanted him number 1. My point is simply, you're taking a risk. Anywhere you pick in the top 10, you're taking a risk. Zach Edey is not just very tall, he's very good.
Very good.
It's a fair question. Will he work in the NBA? But the question of is he a good basketball player? That's been answered definitively.
I hate that he wound up here, man. By the way, it is the slowest person and the fastest player in the NBA side by side.
He's like, I gotta play with Ja.
But when he sets that screen and goes,
Yeah.
like, so if Zach Edey is able to get, I don't even know if it's a shape thing, but say that he's able to get in shape and then just get a little bit faster. This is the pick. You know, like this, you're going to take this 10 out of 10 times. He was the best player in college in a very weak draft. You would take that.
Right.
I mean, and the same thing happens with Klingman. Like, it's the same type of player, but he's just a lot better. But all you need is for him to get a little bit faster, and then he's going to be there. And you have that with Memphis, who doesn't have a big man.
Right.
You know?
Jaren Jackson Jr. is more of a 4 than a 5, really. And yeah, I agree. Like, even if you say, hey, this is we got to kind of put him in a position to succeed, high potential, maybe build around him a little bit. They're well positioned to do so. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr. is the right kind of guy to play him next to. I think this is worth it for them.
I actually think it is too. I didn't even think of it as a fit, but I am kind of intrigued. Let's real quick though go back to Dillingham to Minnesota.
I got something else on Dillingham.
We got some of the details here from Woj. They are trading 2 first picks, a 2031 unprotected. By the way, they have no picks. Conley loves the draft.
Tim is so cool.
Dude, he's like, I got one more year here, and then I'm going somewhere that has
care
picks.
about the picks?
Yeah, why do I care? Yeah. 2031 unprotected, and then a 2030 pick swap. So a pick and a pick swap to move up in the draft and get a guy that everyone thought was a reach. Tim is a wild boy.
This is just such a Tim Connolly special, and Tim Connolly,
he's the best.
Is such a vibesman.
He's such a vibesman.
He saw his team get pushed out of the playoffs after beating Denver in just that emotional series. They didn't have enough against Dallas. He doesn't want to talk about that series the rest of the summer. He doesn't want the fan base talking about that loss. He wants the fan base talking about Rob freaking Dillingham, and that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to light it up at Summer League. That's going to be the storyline. Like, I feel like that's part of what Tim Connolly's thinking about too.
I think that he's not caring about that future because he's like, shit, who do I like now? Who is the fans going to want to watch now?
Totally.
They have Anthony Edwards.
It's his Bones Highland
you
pick.
Have, Nas Reed, who the fans love. Carl Anthony, he has guys that he's like, I just really want to enjoy fun basketball.
When did he take Bones Highland? After Jamal Murray tore his ACL.
And he has an opt-out. So, screw it.
Oh, wow. By the way, Cody Williams going to Utah? That sucks.
Hey, by the way,
good for him. Shouts to CU. Shouts to Cody Williams. But him going in division, that's a bummer.
Bar reaction tracker.
Very happy.
They booed for the Wolves pick trade. They booed Zach Edey. Or Memphis taking him, and they cheered for Cody Williams, the hometown hero.
Yeah, the hometown hero. But he did go to Utah, which is a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. And, Cody Williams, think Jaden McDaniels. That's who he's comped to. He's that defensive wing, 6'6" with a 7'1" wingspan, massive length, great size for a 2 or a 3. Was injured last year a bunch at Colorado. A bit of an underwhelming season for a 5-star recruit.
He didn't look very good, man. Just straight up to me.
But he did flash a lot. There were a lot of plays, a lot of 5-minute stretches where you were like, oh, that's Cody Williams' lottery pick. You can see it. I think it's just going to take a couple years with him.
Okay.
And I feel like Utah's a pretty good landing spot for him just because they'll probably take it pretty slow. They'll have patience.
I'm a lot higher on Cody Williams than a lot of other people are. Because I know and this is what's shocking to me is there's it's the guys in Colorado or Nuggets fans who hate Cody Williams. But they make excuses for so many other people when they're injured. He was hurt this year. He truly was hurt. He shouldn't have played this year. If he didn't play, he would have been a top 5 pick. He had that type of upside coming into this year in a very weak draft. He could have set it down multiple times, but he wanted to play it out. He felt like he owed something to CU in Colorado. And I'm going to tell you right now, people do not feel that about Colorado. They do not feel that about the University of Colorado.
Especially somebody who's not from Colorado.
They're not from here. So him going out and still playing, although it was hurting his draft stock, he went from a top number 1 pick. At one point, they were saying he was the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
He dropped to number 3, kept playing, got injured again. Dropped to 5, kept playing, got injured again. All the way down to number 10 now? I think that his best basketball, of course, is in front of him. And now he's in Utah where it's not going to matter as much right now.
Right.
So, like, he's going to get better. So I think that this is a good pick. And I think Cody Williams is going to be a good NBA player.
I like the fit as well.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at our big board so far. Just to recap, Rizache, Sarr, 2 Frenchmen, 1-2. Shepard, number 3. Castle, 4. Holland, 5. Salon, Klingen, Dillingham, the big surprise. Zach Edey, Cody Williams. I will say, for 10 picks into the first round, kind of a little bit of chaos. This is more chaotic
This
than
is
ever.
chaotic.
Totally, man.
But this was always supposed to be a chaotic draft. We didn't even know who was going number 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it was going to be chaotic. I feel like there's like 3 or 4 guys that is like, oh, I did not think he was going to go there. Maybe 5. So I think that this is chaotic.
I think we already have the next pick too, Kale, whenever you got it. So things are moving quick, man.
Production's crushing it.
Yeah, they are crushing it. Shouts to our production team, graphics team, everybody. Team effort here at DNVR and ALLCITY, by the way. All of our markets doing a draft show. The Bulls are taking Matas Buzelis.
Hell yeah, dude. Arturas Karnisovas picks a fellow Lithuanian.
Of course he did.
Matas Buzelis from the G League Ignite.
Is he also from Chicago? Yes. Yeah, that's what I thought.
From Chicago as well. This is another guy. His stock has kind of fallen over the last year as he went to G League Ignite. I think he was in the mix to be like maybe the number 1 guy this time last year. I remember that was the buzz.
The NBA
last
has a Ponzi scheme. They ran a Ponzi scheme for a while called the G League Ignite.
Yeah.
dude.
Buzelis, though,
Ruined everyone's life.
6'9", kind of a playmaking forward. At the 3, if he bulks up, you can play him at the 4. Another guy who's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a connector. He can play make a little. Put him in the open court. He's really impressive. I'm not very high on Buzelis, just of the brief scouting that I've done.
Would you say that he's the guy you think is most likely to bust?
Yeah, I would. He's my bust of this draft. Nobody needs to remind anybody who my bust was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, don't need to talk about that.
It doesn't matter.
Well, who was it?
Don't need to talk about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Are you listening?
Was somebody good?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Whatever.
He averaged 14 points a game. Not a really good shooter. Doesn't really have a lot of like offensive moves in his toolbox. He, like I said, projects as more of like a connector. Maybe like at best your 3rd or 4th best player on a good starting 5, I think.
Yeah.
Also, here's what I know about him.
Where'd he go?
He incessantly challenged the eventual number 1 overall pick to a one-on-one game, just over and over and over again. And the guy wouldn't play him. Real quick, green flag, red flag, if you had to pick.
For the guy challenging?
Yeah.
Green flag.
Yeah. Doing the
Although
challenging.
I will say it does remind me a lot of Kyrie challenging Kobe, but back in his rookie season.
Sure.
And to this day, I don't know if that was a green flag or that's so Kyrie that he was like, I could take Kobe one-on-one.
Yeah, that's
But
so
I don't know
true.
if it's good or bad that he thought
I
that.
love that this guy spent his whole draft process, and by the way, it gets picked pretty late. His whole draft process going, this guy won't play me. He's a coward. So
Yeah.
for that reason alone, I'm in.
My comp for Buzelis, the incredible Franz Wagner.
Oh, the incredible.
There's no way he's Franz Wagner, man.
You know
There's no
what?
way.
You know what's one of the comps that I seen for
What's
him?
that?
Lamar Odom.
I love Lamar Odom.
No, for
that's one
sure.
of my favorite
I'm just
players.
saying that's a wild one for him.
He's that type of player.
You know what, though? That makes me love this guy.
Yeah,
you know
just
what? I'm
like
all in.
a little bit of everything.
Just tell me he's like a skinny Boris Diaw. I'm going to be there.
I mean, he has the size. So
Yeah, it does.
I feel sad for the Bulls now, and I think it's now that we have CHGO. I like those guys a lot. You know,
Yeah.
so like you don't want to bust for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
also
we got to work on our
like
phrasing.
if you look at this, if you look at this, this is 6'9". You know, small forward. Like he gets to do a bit of everything. Versatile defender that had high upside coming into the draft. So, like you said, last year they were talking about him being a top 3 pick.
I will
And
say
things started changing.
the Bulls right now are their starting point for their 2 franchise guys are 2 terrible shooters. Josh Giddey and this guy.
Yeah. What do you think of the Bulls here? So they got Josh Giddey. The upside play, what do you think, Vote? Like, you're making that
Of the
move.
Giddey pick?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, Giddey's value is at an all-time low, but I actually think he's a pretty interesting player.
Redrafting Giddey for a team in Chicago's situation is like, whatever, sure. But to me, it's more that they were very indecisive about competing or rebuild and probably could have gotten a couple of picks for Caruso, and in the end, it's just a straight swap for a redraft guy. And right now, it feels like teams are willing to pay, perhaps overpay for the right role player. So from that perspective, it feels an awful lot like they could have gotten something better. Redrafting Giddey, though, I think is not as terrible as it feels.
That's kind of how I feel as well.
The tough thing is, regardless of how any one person thinks about Giddey or the case, the reality is he is the most booed player in the NBA right now.
That'll die off eventually, though, won't it?
You'd think. I'm just meaning as far as him building confidence. Like, you bring a guy in who just didn't work out in a great situation and everyone seems to hate him. You know, it's an uphill battle for him. There's no doubt.
Yeah, with Giddey, I just feel like what they seen from DeSumo as well as Cody White, I think that like kind of pushed into like, okay, we're okay with a guy like Giddey and getting rid of Caruso to try to find something there. Just because you just were holding this guy in his prime. I think they were gonna have to pay him eventually. But it was all defensive, and they had their defensive guys. So I think that they were like, hey, how do we have a pass-first point guard with size that you could play point guard and shooting guard?
Right.
And I think that's where it came into trying to redraft him, pretty much.
Oklahoma City is going to be on the clock here coming up. So let's take a quick break, because that'll be an interesting one for us.
You know what's not a bust? You know what's a great pick, a safe pick, and a high ceiling pick?
Could be any of our sponsors.
Even high altitude, if you want to take it there. The great trucks and four-wheel options at Toyota. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. They built
all right, first pick.
Durable legends
Land
destined
Cruiser.
for greatness.
Second pick, Forerunner. Third pick, Tacoma. Fourth pick?
You are just naming Toyota options. Those are some of them. The all-new 2024 Tacoma. The return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. All told, Toyota offers
I'm going to go Tundra,
17
then
models
RAV4, then
with available
Highlander.
all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. Also, their SUVs take command on the road and on the trail. Look, it's Colorado. You might actually take your trucks to the trail. You might actually be doing work with them. Not like those cosmetic four-wheel trucks in New Jersey that just take up parking spots. You people are the real deal out here. So get yourself a Toyota. Visit a Front Range Toyota store at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota in Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson and Toyota East, and Aurora, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Here's what you need to remember. Toyota is the proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Beep, beep.
There you go. So my guy, Dalton Connect.
Can we go over my final guys?
Oh, sure. Have you not completed it yet?
I
Let's
think
go to your
I need
guys.
to just to name these last two final
Go for
guys
it. Go
of
for it.
my guys. I don't know if we have the graphic.
Did you forget who they were?
AJ Johnson, one of the highest upside picks in the draft. This is the Peyton Watson of this draft.
Really?
Really high recruit, played in Australia last year. If you squint, you can see a little Kyrie Irving in his game. And then Bobby Klintman, a guy nobody's really that high on, but I feel like he's got some Jeff Green in him and can step in at that backup power forward spot and, give the Nuggets some stable front court help. Those are my guys.
It's interesting because I haven't even heard you talk about those last two.
I don't even know those
When
guys.
did you add them?
Last night.
So it weren't your guys until last. That's so indicative of this draft.
That's what happens,
This
though,
is
when
how
you're
I was
studying.
doing my list too. I was like, I
When you're
don't
studying,
know, man.
Yeah. Last night?
I feel like I've had more intense, guys that I kind of like.
I mean, Jalen Tyson is clearly my number one.
Really?
Clearly, man. I mean, he is definitely the guy I want. And if you notice, I didn't have DaRon Holmes on my top 5.
I did notice that.
I don't like taking big men in the draft for the Nuggets.
I actually, this is the number one reason to steer away from big men.
I just think it's so hard, especially in Denver, to develop a backup center that's a young guy. You get very few opportunities.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, they can be very high tense moments on the second unit to develop. And I don't want to go down that road.
For starters, I think physically the center position is the toughest. So you think about 19, 20-year-old dudes, there's just a difference between a 28-year-old man and a 20-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
And that's the one position where if you're talking about ready now, those guys usually need 2 years of just muscling up
I know.
before they can handle Nikola Jokic type guys.
I would just much rather get a veteran guy in there that's more playable than DeAndre Jordan. I'd keep an eye on a Daniel Tice type of guy.
You keep selling Tice here. The pick is in, by the way, for the Thunder Northwest Division here. Is it my guy, Dalton Connect? Let's find out. I haven't seen it. Who is it? I'm going to be even more mad. Why are we frozen? There it is. Oh, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is the pick there. Tore his ACL, or actually slight tear of his ACL, so he fell in the draft. Man,
Jeez,
we should have known this was the play, that they were going to go high upside.
There are a couple OKC Thunder fans in the bar. I was talking to them before the draft, and I said, you guys should draft Nikola Jokic. I said that verbatim, and here it is. Look, the Thunder don't need a guy right now to come in and play minutes. They can give him a redshirt year. 6'9", I don't think he's 6'9". 6'6", 6'7" point guard. I love Topic. I love him.
I think that, honestly, this is a perfect fit.
Yeah, he's like 6'6".
The most perfect fit that you can do here. Because, like you just said, I mean, the Thunder were a team, they just won, they just won. Their division, they are a team that you don't need a guy that just comes in right now. But along the lines, like they can use him. This was a guy that was coming into the draft as a top 5 pick until like later on there was the medical, thing. He just got a partially torn ACL. Yep. This is just so similar to Michael Porter Jr., where he, his stock dropped. Sure. And then he didn't have to play that first year, right? Because Oklahoma City knows what they have.
It is the same timeline, even.
It's the exact same type of timeline, and he's talented. He's going to be able to play that point guard spot. And OKC doesn't even they don't really use a point guard. They have SGA coming off of the ball, like he's bringing the ball up and things like that. What happens when you have another year of this and you add a guy in there that could have been a top 5 pick that gets to learn how to play the right style of basketball, and he has the size. You can put him on the ball, you can put him off the ball. Like this is a perfect fit.
It is, man, and I mean it's a great pick. Topic is just my kind of player. Besides the fact that he's Serbian, 6'6" point guard. Like I just love tall point guards like that. And offensively, I mean he's kind of a bucket getter. He's not like really your typical Serbian type of like role player in that way. He's kind of a scorer, kind of a driver, an offensive first guy. But
would you comp him to like Giddey?
Who is my comp for him? I'm looking right now. So I comped him to Halliburton, actually.
I mean, that's like a really good.
Yeah,
that's a really good comp. I love this. Oklahoma City, man. I'm telling you, here's the thing about it. The process, getting all the picks and stuff, it's not that hard to hit when you have that many picks. And them having so many, it's like you get to take some swings. And I just feel like you said, man, they're in the perfect spot in that they don't necessarily need a player.
No.
And so they get a guy
if they took a guy
in the pipeline.
He would have been probably squeezed out of the rotation anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, I see people saying that he might not play, he needs to play. Josh Giddey was playing. He comes into that role after a year of them trying to figure out and see what it looks like without a point guard. There's going to be Alex Caruso, right there for defensive purposes. And now you have a guy that you could play offense with. So really, I think that this is a good fit. He's been a professional for a few years. He knows the game. He knows what is expected of him. He's going to take this year to get his body, back right. Not a full ACL tear. So, 1 year and he's going to be back strong. Like, this is going to be great for him.
Just 18 years old, playing professionally, obviously.
I just saw our first comment that says, what a disaster the Calvin Booth era has been. Literally the only era they've won a title.
Just a disaster.
What? They have, in the Calvin Booth era, 1 NBA championship and 1 record-setting 57 win
just
season.
blow it up, man.
That's the only 2 things that he has under his belt.
What a
Total
disaster.
It's kind of funny. And by the way, it was in reference to the fact that they did not trade up for Edey.
Yes.
So they didn't get a championship.
All the Nuggets' future draft picks, like that, they had a huge stockpile, as we all know.
You know what?
Not
Topic, just watching some of the highlights and stuff, he moves a little bit to me like Micic. Micic has a bounce to his step, like the way he plays that he kind of reminds me of. And then, of course, another former mega player.
The
mega
pink jerseys,
the pink jerseys.
But another Serbian guy in Northwest Division.
How many are there? Just the two?
Well, you got Jokic. That's
yeah,
one.
That's his one.
He's number one on that list.
I remember him.
You've got Topic.
That's number two. That's two for sure.
You used to have Pokashevsky.
You used to have
still
him.
two.
Yeah, okay, so
still two.
All right.
But yeah, we'll keep going with that list later on.
All right. So
can we go to the big board again?
Yeah, let's see the best player available. Dalton Connect, our guy, is sliding, it appears. You had him number 7. He is still on the board.
Then Devin
Jacoby
Carter,
Walter is actually a guy I'm very curious in. So I actually love Dalton Connect and Jacoby Walter. I think that those picks, and then you have Tristan Da Silva, of course, the CU guy who's on the board. So you have some interesting players here in this next little part.
You do. Who's next up? The Kings, and then you got the Blazers and Heat. Feels like Portland could be a Dalton Connect spot.
Man, that would suck.
A wing shooter.
That would suck.
A wing scorer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm rooting for that or not. So we're getting to the part right now. Like none of the Denver guys have actually. None of them we kind of didn't talk about these guys.
Where'd
We knew
Vogt
Denver
go?
wasn't going to move up. He had to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
so like he.
just wondering.
But now we're getting in the range where some of guys like Ryan Dunn, he's been projected as early as 15 or so. So we're starting to get to the zone where some of our guys might go.
But seeing these guys kind of fall kind of helps.
Yeah.
With like Denver or like spots that you want to be in. Just because those are names that were supposed to go higher that are now, making that fall. So maybe that changes things.
Devin Carter is the pick. You saw him in the broadcast wearing that bright blue suit. Very loud suit for a guy to be wearing to the draft. Very confident, it seems. He's going to the Sacramento Kings. What can you tell us, Wind?
Devin Carter projects as like a very, very high-end role player in the same way that like Drew Holiday plays. He's that type of guy. Great defender, a hustler, a motor that never stops. A lot of people view him as one of the safer picks in this part of the draft. He can play on ball, he can play off ball. Just 6'2", but he's got a 6'9" wingspan, and we slotted him as a Michael Malone type of guy. Defender, motor, hustler. He's got that dog in him. A lot of draft nerds out there love Devin Carter. He's like one of draft Twitter's guys this year.
Why?
Because the comp to Drew Holiday, he's that type of player.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You want to talk about one of the perennial shit talkers?
Yes.
Dude, this dude is a shit talker.
He's a dog.
I walked into a gym. He talked the most shit I've seen from a kid.
At you?
Yes. He was a kid, too. He was like in the 8th grade. So this is Anthony Carter's son.
That's right.
So he went to George Washington High School, the same high school I went to.
Shouts
to
the Patriots.
Yeah, shouts to the Patriots. Shouts to Chauncey Billups. Devin Carter was a Colorado kid. Not really a Colorado kid, but he had the Anthony Carter connection.
Sure.
So he grew up here. He played high school basketball here before making the switch over. This is a hard worker in every sense of the word. He's a bucket, but also this year he changed from being only a bucket. They told him that he needed to show more. He's one of the best defenders. He was the Big East Conference Player of the Year, but also he averaged like 8 rebounds a game.
That's right. He boards like crazy for a guard.
6'2".
Crazy.
Like he's a maniac. He's working hard the entire time. And it's a little bit different. Like usually when there's a former player's son,
right,
they're really all basketball, like all hoopers. He's a hooper, but he also is willing to work hard. So like when you talk about the draft nerds and the analytical darlings that say like you can't miss here, it's because of those things that he's willing to do.
And I'm missing D-line on the set right now because I need a take on his hair.
He's had this hair since 8th grade. This is how he's always. If you look at all highlight tapes, this is his hair.
He's gonna have his dad's haircut very soon, I think.
Yeah, you can see the Trey Young. You can see the Trey Young coming in.
That's probably why it's so long.
It's always the guys who have long hair
in
that
the
lose
back.
their hair.
Long in the back. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, man, his hair was his calling card.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of Colorado connections in this draft, and Devin Carter is one of those connections. playing like middle school, high school ball here. It's pretty cool. Like, it's a guy that you can root for.
So hold on a second. Have you scored a bucket on Devin Carter?
Absolutely, but he was in 8th grade.
Hell yeah.
He was a kid, and
So
we
how
had
many
no
players
idea.
in the draft have you scored a bucket? Have you scored a bucket on Dalton Connect?
Absolutely, that one
Really?
for sure. That one is
I
a
mean,
lot more.
there are some question marks about his defense.
I've scored more buckets on him than anyone else in the draft.
Who would you?
You're not
that's a
scoring
red
on
flag.
Devin Carter as much.
It's a
He
red
was in
flag
8th
for
grade.
sure.
Would you like take them over Adam in an open gym draft?
No, absolutely.
Oh,
not.
bring it up. You know what? This is important. We should talk about some family business here. Dev, do you want to explain yourself?
Does he even know what we're? Oh, he knows.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Dev and I have a pickup run. I was a little late to the run this last weekend. A little late, running a little behind. Dev had the first overall pick. You have to pick a big man because there's only 4 of us.
Oh, how tall are you?
I'm a big man.
Okay.
Was not taken by Dev. Was
At
not
all?
taken. I wanted to pay him back so bad, but he was on the losers court the whole night. So I never got
Never even got a chance
to
to post
That is
it.
not.
So that's Adam's side of the story.
Yeah, that's the truth. But
Yeah.
okay.
Now we'll get Dev's side.
There's
I will
another
say we
side
did
of the
play one time. I'll let Dev finish the story.
Yeah, there was another side of the story. One, he was super late. I am on time. He was super late. And you have to choose your-
Did he miss the first game?
No.
You
You had-
waited.
Everyone had to wait for Adam. All 19 guys or 22 guys or whatever had to wait
You
for
gotta
him.
wait for
And
the
also,
best
when
player
you're
to
looking
show up.
around the gym, you just go with who's in front of you.
Is
Like,
that
it's
what-
one of-
is that what it
it's a private one. Run.
He's
So-
backing out of this. I thought he was going to
Yeah,
own it and say
no.
Adam's
He
not in
didn't.
shape.
He didn't say, "Hey, you get to choose Adam." He's just like, "Who do you want?" I looked around the gym. I had to choose one of the big guys.
Funny-
Then it was him. So it
Funniest
wasn't
was
like
he
that.
ratted him out right away. I walked to the gym. He's like, Dev had the pick. He didn't
Yeah,
take
he
it,
did
man.
that just to piss me off.
What?
Also, Adam hadn't been playing in a long time.
That's a
I
good
didn't think he
point.
was going to be good. We
That's a
played
good
in the
point.
first game. Adam looked like he played the week before that. It threw me off. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And as far as losing the whole time, I was like 500. I
He was only
couldn't
losing
win
half
at the same time that Adam was winning. That's all that happened there. I had a pretty good day, though.
He had a pretty good day. All right, I just had to put him on blast because I was hurt when I found out that information.
You played well, too.
I was hurt, man. I was
If I had
hurt.
a redraft, I would have chose you first.
I'm like, yo,
Just tell you
I
that
wouldn't
right
have
now.
picked me either, man. It's
And I
all
would
good.
choose Devin Carter, too.
Pick is in. Portland is making. Is it Portland making the pick or we? We're.
But this is the obvious trade.
That's right. Carlton Carrington is heading to Washington. So that's the trade.
I like Carrington.
Really? Be
But-
nice with it?
But he is nice with it. He's a very flashy mid-range scorer.
Hell
a-
yeah.
a-
Mid-range.
and a playmaker out of the pick and roll for himself and others, but there is a big but. He doesn't get to the rim a ton, and he's not a three-point shooter. And I do think he's going to have to do one or the other at the next level.
That's tough.
You can't just cook with mid-range pull-ups, but he has good size for a point guard, and he plays hard, and he's just flashy. I think he's worth a flyer.
Yeah,
you left out the best part about this guy. He goes by Bub Carrington.
Correct.
His first name is Bub.
Bub, which is a green flag, I think.
Is Bud?
Bub.
B-U-B.
Bud? You think that's a green flag?
I think-
agree. That's
yeah,
a green
green
flag. I think
flag.
said red. That's
Great
a green
name.
flag.
One of the best names in the draft.
That's
Yeah.
a Southern name. Where's he from?
Isn't this like the youngest player in the draft this year? I
He's
feel like
18 years old.
only 18 years old.
One
He's
of them,
getting comped to like Tyrese Maxey, just because he wants to break you down, get to the rim, and score. He can also shoot the 3-ball. There is a lot of concerns and questions about his defense, just because he didn't show much of it.
Yeah.
Again, they put the ball in his hands a lot, so it is hard to like showcase that side of the ball. But if you want a guy that's just gonna just ignite the offense or just get the offense going, you bring a guy like this off the bench and it gets to keep going.
He creates
Who-
points.
Who made this trade?
Washington got him.
This is probably the pick that Tim Conley would have made if Dillingham was off the
Well,
board.
so he's going to Washington. Where's he from? Baltimore.
Be
So
more.
this is a little bit of a homecoming. I mean, as close as it can be. So he'll be playing
It's a
more or
fun
less at
one.
home. Which, by the way, I always think that's probably bad. Most players will tell you that they don't
Right.
want to play at home.
Right.
Will Barton used to always talk about that. About like DC, would you want to play there? He's like, no, man. not
Maybe
really.
that's part of why Sarr didn't want to go to the Hawks, by the way, because I believe he has
Yeah.
experience in the Atlanta
I
area.
mean, he was there for a cup of coffee. I mean, he went to school there. He went to some
I'm
classes
just saying, maybe
there.
he learned one or two things. But I do think that this
I
is.
think he hated the pastries and the coffee or something. I don't know.
But
It's a
Bub,
French joke.
Bub is an interesting. That's good, actually.
Sorry.
Bub is an interesting one, just in that he is very young, but I wouldn't quite call him a
Are you on
project.
bub terms now? You just go straight to bub?
Once I know I have the option to call you bub, but he is not quite a project. Like, he has some NBA ready skills, and he's flashy. It's worth it, I think. I don't know.
By the way, like Bubbles from The Wire, that's maybe Bubbles. One of my
Another
favorite.
note,
Great
the
character.
big board, not my big board. That's ESPN's big board. Somebody said DaRon Holmes was not on there, but I definitely thought he was in the top 30 on ESPN's. Whatever.
Well,
though.
they moved him at the very end to
Oh,
32.
did they?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why. Yeah, so he might have fallen off of there.
Okay.
Who knows? I like Jacoby Walter. So now Dalton Connect and Jacoby Walter, the best players on the board. I actually like both of them, man. Devin Carter's off, by the way.
Don't connect slipping. Don't connect slipping.
That's a big slip.
Potentially out of the lottery here, or we are out of the lottery officially. So a big slip here.
Denny Avdia is younger than he is, so something
That
to
might
consider.
be part of it. Yeah. Do you like Dalton Connect, Dev?
I mean, he got buckets on him, so I don't know.
I love Dalton Connect. Are we talking about him now? Like, are we
NBA
gonna wait
player.
till
We're not talking
No,
about
I'm saying,
him.
are we gonna wait till the pick comes in, or?
I mean, I'm just kind of setting the table here for him as we kind of wait for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a good Dalton Connect story. I don't know
You
if
want
I
to save it? You want to save
I don't
it?
know if I want to save it.
All
till
right,
he's
you know what?
drafted
Save it.
or
I think
not.
you're right. That's a good tease.
Yeah, but yeah, Dalton Connect. I mean, he's a leaguer, in every sense of the word. It is shocking that he's dropping this much. It had to be because of like the workouts, because this is a guy that everybody fell in love with, and he was good all year long. He carried Tennessee the entire year. Every time you watched him, it was must-see TV. So he had to have bad workouts.
Who's winning the draft so far?
I mean, you gotta love
France, I would say the
Dillingham in
country of
Minnesota. That's the coolest pick of the draft so far.
Sent 2 picks together.
I mean, 2 picks in 2030. Who gives a shit?
Who cares,
Yeah.
dude? I love it.
I mean, that's been the best pick so far, I feel like.
That's an interesting question, though, because usually the answer to that question this early, Adam, is just whoever got the first overall pick and didn't blow it. But this year feels different.
I think the Thunder taking Topic is a great pick.
Yeah,
Me too.
that does feel
The
like
Spurs getting Castle is a solid pick as well. A safe, very sound pick there.
They traded away their second pick, though, right?
Yeah, to Minnesota.
That was the Dillingham.
I think the story so far, Houston standing pat, taking Reed Shepherd as a story. I think Dillingham trade is a story. I think the Grizzlies getting Zach Edey is a story.
Definitely.
And the Thunder getting Topic is a story. Those would be the stories I would say.
And, as we've been hearing on Twitter, the Calvin Booth era going up in smoke.
Going up in
Just
smoke.
dissolving.
As the Nuggets are standing pat right now. By the way, Nuggets, did they have a friendly today? I believe they did, or there's like an open practice or something like that. Or not the Nuggets, the Team Serbia.
Oh.
I was like, they did?
Did I miss something?
Was KCP there?
By the way, our PHLY brothers will be in Las Vegas covering Team USA when they take on Team Canada. So there's a chance.
Oh, nice.
I know they're doing their training here in a week. They're going to head to Vegas and start training. I love that, by the way. One of my favorite basketball memories was covering that 08. It was actually 07 team before the 08 Redeem Team Tour in Las Vegas.
You
I
got
told
to
you I had
cover
a
that
Kobe
team?
jersey. Well, I didn't cover it. Sorry, I didn't cover it. I didn't cover it. I forgot what my life
Not
was
to
like
check
before
you.
I got in here.
Not to check
I
you.
bought tickets and watched it from the stands as a fan.
Were they expensive?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
At the
good.
time, it was like it was nothing. But
What to watch for right now, though? We were just talking about Connect slipping. I mean, Miami, Philadelphia, the Lakers. 3 teams where he could probably come in and play. Those teams, if anything, you're looking for a more NBA-ready guy. That's what Dalton Connect is. But also, could there be a team that trades up for him? Because usually when a guy slips like this is a prime trade-up opportunity for a team at the end of the first round,
It would make sense for it, especially if you liked him in the top 10 and you're just like, hey, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be close. I do think that this is like some, maybe we should make a move. Because now how it looks, guys aren't just working out for everybody like they used to be.
Yeah.
So now it's like very limited. So it's like, hey, now they're probably trying to see what it is that went wrong in those workouts. Or is there some type of health
An
concern
injury
or
or
something that
something,
happened that wasn't there? So I'm guessing that people are trying to do their research right now. But I do think that they're going to try to go after him very soon.
Yeah.
And
I've got to think it's more of just he's one of these older prospects in the draft. Not a ton of upside there compared to a Bub Carrington or a Rob Dillingham, one of those guys. But I mean, still, Connect, ready-made scorer. Like, he can step in and play right away.
We have a pick that is in, Kale.
Yeah, I'm buffering. Give me just a sec.
Dude,
Okay.
we'll give you a sec.
We'll give you as much time as you need.
I'll give you
this
3
one's a little bit off the board to me. This one's like a little bit of a. We're already this draft already like a lot of picks that are.
Once
off
the
of what's
first odd
expectation.
domino falls, the whole thing kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
Are you bringing us air conditioning?
Wow.
Hell
look
yeah.
at
Wow,
this.
you guys are the best.
The smoke has dissipated.
You know,
a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
grab
the
a
pick
beer.
is finally in. There it is. How about these graphics, by the way? Incredible.
And who was the
Miami
pick?
Heat are taking.
Did we lose the camera?
No, it's how it just buffers for
Kale,
forever.
it's not your fault, but Adam might make some comments while it tries to come up.
There we go.
Khalil Ware or Khalil Ware.
We're not sure.
We talked about this guy as a potential backup center. Didn't even get close, to the Nuggets at 28. He goes here to Miami at 15. Interesting pick. They have Bam Adebayo there. They just signed him to a huge contract extension. Now they take Khalil Ware. I kind of liked Khalil Ware. I think I comped him to Brook Lopez in our draft guide. He's a true 7-footer. Rim protection and three-point shooting, like that's what he brings. Some Miles Turner in his game as well, but he's got size. He's got some potential too. Only 20 years old, 7 feet with a 7'5" wingspan. Can defend at the rim, can shoot the three. Good block shot rate too. 2 blocks a game at Indiana. Pretty good athlete too. So I like Khalil Ware. Interesting pick though for the Heat.
Yeah, what do you like about this one, Andre?
He was one of my guys.
One of your
One
guys.
of my guys. I like that he's a true 7-footer. I like that he is a real athlete, can really run up and down the court. And I really was intrigued by the upside as a shooter and kind of stretch big. A lot of people talk crap about him in his first year at Oregon and him kind of being soft. Interesting that a team like the Heat, likes their tough guys, would go after him. Good on Khalil Ware. Dalton Connect watch. How dare they disrespect the Colorado boy like this?
This just seems like a very weird pick to me with Adebayo there. Unless
and Jovic.
They're just looking for more size.
I mean, who's their next big though?
I know, but to use the 15th overall pick, that's a pretty high pick. I don't know if the Heat are ever going to be picking this high again in the next couple of years. But to use that as a guy who, best case scenario is your 6th man.
Yeah.
That seems a little weird to me.
Maybe they're just taking what they feel is best player available.
That's probably the case.
Yeah.
Although that feels like it might be Dalton Connect.
It's a super reach. It's crazy because Connect seems like the most Heat guy ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like a shooter above all, an older guy ready to contribute.
Of course would contribute there right away.
Yeah.
You're right,
Like,
man. There's something to that.
He's like S tier Duncan Robinson.
Unless they're planning on moving Bam Adebayo to the 4.
I mean, it sounds like that's been a big
And maybe
low-key
you can
theme of
talk
this
yourself
offseason
into
for
that.
them.
Khalil Ware, he projects as a shooter, a Miles Turner, Brook Lopez type of floor spacer. I guess
Why not
I can see that
versatility?
if I squint a little bit.
All right, so you're the Heat. You made the finals most recently. You lost to the Nuggets. Everyone loves the Bam option, but you don't have a lot of size. Like, even Bam's not the biggest center.
Yeah.
So maybe this is part of that league-wide trend of grab some size while we can, a little bit of juice around the rim in terms of athleticism, and just see if that comes in handy, because that's part of the trend.
Well, and the big thing you need if you're going to pair a 5 next to Bam is a stretch 5. And Khalil plausibly has that. So he checks off that box for him. And I guess he is more Heat culture-y than Filipowski or Misi, who's a ways away from contributing. And they might have been an Edie team as well.
I was trying to find it. I feel like Ware's the guy that he came out and said he doesn't know if he really loves basketball. I think that was his his
that
big
was
thing,
the
and
knock.
it dropped him. And
Great
then
thing
also
to
there was
say.
a lot of connections of
Great
Ware and
Great
Peyton
call, bro.
Watson, just because of the high, they were 5-star recruits. And things like that. They went to their college and they didn't play at all. And then Ware, he stayed for another year and he transferred. But like that was like a big push. Was like, hey, this is a guy that was like regarded as like one of the best players in the class that now is questioning how much he loves it. So for him to be a heat culture type of guy, it's going to be about trying to remind him and get him tougher. If you could get this guy tougher, that changes some things. That like it brings things there. And then having Bam Adebayo, who's an undersized big, he's gonna go at him every single day. So like that is going to make him tougher. It also gives you a center that you could throw out there at times, which they did not have. They play an undersized guy. So I do think that this is a project. But, I mean, you have Bam Adebayo, who's going to get that 3-year, you know. But, like, maybe this comes after that 3 years. Or maybe you put him in after that second year and just see how they play alongside each other.
It really makes the most sense to me if they're planning on playing these guys together.
Well, and I also think it's very much like the Jokic pick. So how much are you intrigued by Jokic wear lineups as well?
I mean,
that's
I really
long,
like Jokic.
That's athletic.
Yeah.
That's a lot of like shooting ability.
Yeah.
Like that's an intriguing front court.
Also, from a Nuggets perspective, another guy in Miami who might be getting squeezed out, who's a free agent, is Kevin Love, who I have always loved, no pun intended,
Definitely
as
intended.
a backup big in Denver. So, I mean, he's a guy who could be out there on a potential minimum deal.
I like what you're thinking.
Love
I
Kevin
like what
Love
you're thinking.
in the Nuggets front
Make
court
it
at
happen.
backup center / backup power forward.
And then back to the Heat, it does look like at least a conversation that maybe folks like us in the Miami market would be having. Is Bam a 4? And I don't know if the answer to that is yes.
I mean, they did just make the finals with him at the 5.
So that's a fair counter.
Yeah.
But maybe that gives you some insight into some of the logic. Of course, also, 15 isn't... I mean, look, if you think the guy is good and you think he could play off your bench, go for it, you know?
Totally. There's also a chance they announced this pick was traded in 2 minutes as well.
Absolutely.
Man, when you said if we were doing this in Miami, I just looked around and was like, all 3 of UMFs would bolt for Miami in a second.
I hate Miami. What do you mean?
know it. I don't know, Harrison.
I can't stand Miami.
I don't know.
I was down there for the finals last year. I want to get out of there as soon as possible.
You like the finer things.
I don't like Miami. Miami's too humid, man. It's too humid.
Oh,
It's not a clubber or a humidity guy.
I mean, I was back in my glory days.
It's been a while. He's got a kid now, you know? Things have changed.
It's true.
I'm well past that stage.
How do we feel about 2 bigs added to the Western Conference tonight? Some fresh meat for Yoke in the regular season.
Wow.
And Zach Edey in Memphis and Klint Kong in Portland.
Look, man, I don't think it's a coincidence that all these big men are going to the Western Conference. Minnesota, to me, laid the blueprint in the playoffs. Even though Nikola Jokic had what I think is the best game of his career in Game 5 against the Timberwolves, and the Nuggets did blow a 20-point lead in Game 7.
They did.
The Timberwolves still, I think, laid the blueprint for how you defend the Nuggets.
Totally, man.
And that starts with size and strength and physicality and length in the front court. And so I think you're just seeing other Western Conference teams take that cue and run with it.
Yeah, I think that he said that the biggest push is the 2 best big men in basketball are going to go out west. And that's not by coincidence.
Yep.
Like, they want to slow down Nikola Jokic. They want to get guys in there that are going to, try to make that type of push, like, for the future. So I think it sucks. That every single night is going to be a good team out west that has a very good big man, whether it be young or older guy. But most of them are young, and they're trying to make that push for when Nikola Jokic is not there.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, the Warriors had us thinking that every center should be 6'9", mobile, and switchable.
Yep.
And now I think we've come back to you need big guys to load up on Jokic. I don't think the NBA will ever be solved by any one team or approach or analytic discovery because of this. The best players rotate, and what makes them the best players change, and the league will react accordingly. I will say I like the way Wynn framed it because, first of all, let's just get this out of the way. The Wolves were absolutely built to beat Denver. Whether it's only to beat Denver, fine, but they were. They built that roster with Jokic and Co. in mind, and Denver still almost did it, and they still blew a 20-point lead the year after they made the finals. Loading up to beat Jokic is different than having the tools to beat him, and arguably only Minnesota does, and even that was stretched thin. So while I get the strategy, I also say bring it on because Most of these guys are not going to be able to stop Jokic no matter where they are.
Yeah. Got another pick in here. I think it's the 76ers on the clock.
Tis the 76ers.
So another team that's trying to win right now in the Eastern Conference. This was another one that you thought maybe it'd be traded. And they take Jared McCain out of Duke. Wow.
Bit of a combo guard. Is this good news for them maybe being less interested in KCP?
No.
A
Not
shooter?
at all.
No?
I
A
mean,
perimeter
Jared
player?
McCain's a 6'2 point guard. There's overlap with Tyrese Maxey there, I do
Yes,
feel
there
like.
is.
But no, I still think like KCP's very high on their list because they just need a defender next to him. But interesting for them to go with like another smaller point guard when that's not really what I feel like they need.
Yeah, I think that's the blueprint for them, though. Tyrese Maxey on
Just
the floor.
another Tyrese
When
Maxey?
Tyrese Maxey is not on the floor. Like, just buy some time with a guy that plays that exact same type of way, especially when you have Embiid, who's just dominant. So, like, other scorers that are creative, flashy, can create for themselves off the dribble because, I mean, Joel Embiid gives you so much attention. So now it's like, hey, okay, go beat this guy one-on-one, and you're by yourself now. So I think that was like a push for them to try to bring that guy in. But like you said, he's the same as Maxey, 6'2".
Yeah, he really is.
You know, not. I mean, he's a good passer, but not a great passer and things like. But I don't think that they're looking for that. They don't want a high IQ, run the offense type of guy. They want guys that can go and get it themselves, and he fits that bill.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I really liked him. I thought this year everyone thinks the Kentucky guards are going to be another Kentucky guard who surprises us and underachieved in college and overcame that. I thought the Duke guard was the Kentucky guard this year. This guy ended the year on such a heater. He has a legit shot and just shot it with incredible confidence at the end of the season for Duke. It's just the size, and he's not a real point guard. But I think the shot-making ability is for real in a 19-year-old kid.
Do you know who we comped him to in the draft guide? So, little behind the scenes here, behind the curtain.
Make this a tease. Make it a tease.
Okay.
They've got to wait till
We had a hilarious comp to Jared McCain that we will tell you about after this.
After we tell you about what kind of summer it is. Have you been online? Have you seen that it's a white boy summer? Take that, crumple it, throw it out. It's not a white boy summer. It's a smooth sack summer. Brought to you by our friends at Man. Perfect timing for Adam. Get back in here, bro. I said smooth sack.
Did somebody say smooth sack
I
summer?
sure did.
That wasn't the thing
Adam
that he
came
lied about.
running as soon as he heard that.
Because smooth sack summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped.
From where?
Pubes to bum.
Oh, okay.
So I guess they're including the. Never mind. We'll talk about it later. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It's the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot, baby. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code NUGGETS20. That's 20% off plus free shipping. Hey, men's grooming is important, maybe more so than you think. It's also a mess when you don't have the right tools for the job. Trust me, I have tried to ghetto this. It's not the thing you want to cheap out on. You want to get the right tools, and you want to get them with Manscaped. And you can with code NUGGETS20, code NUGGETS20 to get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com.
So as I was saying before the break, we put out this draft guide for diehards on DNVR.com.
I love it. I'm so pumped for our big project written content, man.
I'm
We have
cheating
some
off
good
it
stuff
right now.
Yeah. We split up a little bit of the duties in terms of writing the scouting reports, giving the player comps. I think you did the comp for Jared McCain, the guy who just got drafted.
Yeah.
Bryn Forbes was your comp.
That's right, baby. Because I tried to give a realistic comp. I'm like, you know, there's always it's Steve Nash. You got Steve Nash with Michael Jordan. I'm like, this guy
that was the tease. Bryn Forbes.
This guy reminds me of Bryn Forbes.
Well, he looks a little crazy.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's so funny.
He's not Forbes though. Like, he's a guy that like really he's a creator and he's a creative scorer. So like Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickly, Bones Highland type.
Yeah.
But he wants to score that basketball.
like the comp.
So that's the comp.
That was your comp.
That's my comp, baby.
You
I
want to know
remember
how
it.
much we didn't like the comp, Adam?
How much?
We teased it on the other side.
On the other side of things. We're going to tell you Adam thought. I'm serious, though. Here's the thing, man. We could go back years from now, and I'll be like, you told me Ashim Thabit reminds you of Keem Olajuwon. Hold on a second. Like, honestly, you're more often wrong in that direction than you are in, like, I don't know.
What are the
Bryn
chances
Forbes?
this guy's going to be better than Bryn Forbes? Like, maybe
Low?
50%
Yeah,
at the
16th
best.
pick.
You
Yeah,
said
Bryn
Bryn
Forbes
Forbes,
would
and
be
Conley's like,
incredible.
how many picks do we have left? Just kidding.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer, man. A little better than Bryn Forbes. I got to give a shout out to our bar. Our bar booed this pick just because the 76ers were taking it.
Our people
bar's
are the
on it.
best, man.
Our bar's on
Our
top
people,
of it,
our
baby.
people know what's up.
See, I was trying to see what that was. There was Duke. There was, I was just like, okay.
All
where'd
right,
the boo
want to
come
really
in?
boo a pick? Let's all do it. Ready?
Hang on, we got a buffer.
I don't know who the pick is.
This buffer's getting longer and longer.
The equipment is melting. The equipment's
Ready to
melting.
boo? We're ready to boo any minute, Kale.
It's the Lakers with new head coach JJ Redick, and they
Yes. Boo it. Boo it. Boo it.
Oh, gosh, dang it! How did that happen?
The bar hates it.
I have to root against my guy?
Man.
I have to root. I hate Dalton Connect.
Who's your daddy? The
Wow.
bar knows what's up.
Man.
Dalton Connect to a Laker.
That's rough. That's rough for the Colorado kid. Hey, he's going to a good team. He gets to play with LeBron James, though. Dalton Connect, one of the older prospects to get taken so far, I think. 23 years old, 6'5". He's a shooting guard, small forward, and he is a scorer. 22 points per game last year at Tennessee. Of course, transferred from the state of Colorado into SEC country. 6'9" wingspan, so a little positive wingspan there. Like I said, 22 points a game, 40% three-point shooting, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a do-it-all scorer. He can kind of score from anywhere on the court, can take his guy off the dribble too. Pretty underrated finisher, I feel like, at the rim. He's strong. He's got a little physicality to him too. Can take advantage of some mismatches based on the defender that gets put on him. I'm looking at the comp here to see what it was in our draft guide. Kyle Kuzma is who we comped him to.
I feel like it's a decent comp. I will say, I feel like Connect has almost more lead, like, I don't want to say playmaker, but more like Kyle Kuzma's a scorer. Dalton Connect can run the pick and roll, man. Like, he has like a nice little pick and roll game. Tim Legler called him the most ready out of the packaging player in the draft.
Interesting.
And I think he might be right, man. He has an NBA game. It's just a lot of pick and roll, a lot of good decision making and timing. I'm actually surprised he's the guy that fell so far.
Yeah, at 17, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The thing with Dalton is, so a lot of people give Reggie Jackson like the love as like hometown hero.
Right.
This is the second most hometown guy that you're gonna get in the NBA. Like,
Who's the
it's
most hometown?
Derek White is Colorado. He is
Okay.
Colorado true and true.
He rocks DNVR gear.
Elementary, middle school, high school,
Yeah.
college.
He's Colorado. Yeah.
Like Colorado true and like all the way through. Dalton is
Nugget.
the exact same way.
Shout out Thornton from
He's
Thornton.
from
OS.
Thornton. This is like
Hell yeah.
Colorado. Like he is one of the boys. So like the cool story about Dalton.
And this is players from
This
Thornton.
is not me like trying to get credit in any type of way for Dalton. He is incredible.
Wait, all right,
But-
I can't wait. Yeah, wait, hold on a second.
That was a
This is
great
totally
preamble.
about Dev taking credit for Dalton. I can't
Okay.
wait.
All right, so I'm the guy that ranks the
Yeah,
guys
you
in
are.
Colorado.
That's right.
And Dalton was one of the guys that I ranked. Dalton believed that he was a D1 player. So Dalton was turning down all of the colleges in the area. Like the lower colleges
Yeah.
in
Sure.
the area, just not answering any type of calls whatsoever because he thought he was a D1 player. The problem was he didn't have the grades to be a D1 player.
Really?
So he didn't have the grades. So he got
It's from
begged.
Thornton, you guys.
He
Give him
got
a break.
begged to go to a showcase. He turned down all these calls. He got begged to go to a showcase. At this showcase, so he finally went to the showcase. We wrote him. So I wrote him on our Prep Hoops Colorado to try to get him there. Multiple people are trying to get him there. He finally gets to there. There's a guy named Bronson Moton, who is now the assistant coach at Northeastern Junior College. He was the assistant for the boys team. He's now the head coach for the girls team. He was begging. He's like telling his coach, there's a guy here that I want you to take. Dalton Connect. He is the best player like in the state. He is number one. He wasn't number one in our rankings, but Bronson said, hey, this is the guy. This is the guy that you have to get. Coach was like, no, there's other guys that I want. Bronson's like, hey, I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get him here. He goes in Northeastern, destroys because of Bronson, destroys, goes to Northern Colorado, destroys, takes a flyer on himself. He goes to Tennessee and he was the best player in basketball last year, like top 3 guys in basketball. Now he's getting drafted. So that's my Dalton Connect story.
Man, that's a crazy one. I'm telling you, it is a crazy like road, and I love this in this draft. By the way, I honestly think I was the best player from Thornton until Dalton Connect. That's more a knock on Thornton than it is anything. Another Colorado guy, Tristan Da Silva. He is headed to the Orlando Magic. Break it down for us, Win.
Yeah, Tristan Da Silva. I really like Da Silva. I mean, he was my favorite prospect on Colorado.
Yeah.
6'8", 6'10" wingspan, an older prospect as well at 23 years old. He does everything pretty well, I think. He can shoot the 3, shot 39.5% from the floor or from three-point range last year. He can score 16 points a game. You know, that's next to a KJ Simpson, who was like their go-to scorer, and some other decent offensive options. 5.1 rebounds, 2.4 assists. High IQ player, experienced, really good at everything, I think. Good on defense, good feel for the game as well. I really like Da Silva. I actually comped him to Jaime Jaquez. I feel like he's going to have that type of impact at the next level immediately.
Dev, I don't know about, you guys are far more into the local scene than I am, and I'm obviously not a buff. When I watched them this year, this guy was clearly the guy. I mean, I know Cody Williams is the upside guy and everything, but to me, every time they needed a play, Tristan Da Silva made it.
Yeah, Tristan was their best player.
Yeah, like straight up.
I mean, with NBA, you got to see how they translate. And Cody's ceiling is way, way higher than Tristan Da Silva. But if you go through the package of like what they looked like last year, it was Tristan Da Silva. So like this is not shocking at all for people that watched CU basketball to see him get drafted in high. He could have went higher. This is a guy that's like NBA ready. He has an NBA body, creates, does the hard work, the muscle plays and things like that. But he's going to get better. So like Tristan Da Silva, that is a name that you're going to know. He's going to be in this league for a while because, he just has it. He's ready.
Man, this is I didn't realize how much of a Colorado draft this is.
Big
really
Colorado
is.
draft, man.
We're kind of running this draft here today, I feel.
Who said Colorado's a bad basketball state?
Whoever said it was correct. The Orlando Magic, Tristan Da Silva. So is he going to play here? They have a lot of bigs, a lot of forwards. He's more of a wing, I guess. So is he going to play?
Well,
what's his path
it's
to being
interesting because the Magic need scoring.
Yeah.
And it's not like he is a go-to scorer. He's a jack-of-all-trades guy. I mean, he can be a complimentary scorer, but he's not a go-to top 1 or 2 option by any means. So I really wonder if they just want best player available. And, you throw him at 6'8" next to Wagner, Banchero, Wendell Carter, Suggs. There's a lot of length there. A lot of length, a lot of versatility.
The
Tristan Da
lengthiest,
Silva,
Jonathan Isaac.
Da Silva can handle the ball too. He can handle it a little bit. So just a really well-rounded player there.
I think I'm buying. You guys know that I'm all on Orlando Magic. I've got a lot of stock.
Yeah.
I might actually buy some more. I might buy some more. There's some smart play there, some smart players. I think they might be building something. They might be my Pacers of 2025.
What if they get KCP in free agency?
Oh, don't even say that out loud. Don't even put that into the universe.
You guys are not going to know this answer off the top, but this is something to think about. When's the last time that 2 guys from CU got drafted at the same time?
And a third with a chance. And a third with a chance.
A third one possibly going. That was a good team. And those are guys that maybe they're building something over there that these type of players
Xavier
are trying to
Johnson,
go there.
Spencer Dinwiddie?
Hold on a second.
Xavier Johnson, I don't think he was actually drafted.
I think he was drafted late second round. Can you check that, Dre?
They must have won the Pac-12 then with all this talent.
There was other talented teams.
You don't have to sugarcoat it to me. It was a very disappointing season.
Would you say maybe that? Well, never.
Even though they won a game in the tournament.
Man, who's coaching the team?
There
This
it
is
is.
so crazy.
A northern Colorado guy.
That's
Tad
right.
Boyle.
Another Colorado / Longmont guy. Sorry, I'm not trying to be too harsh on CU. I don't even mind
You
CU.
can be hard.
I don't even mind
They
CU.
had a disappointing year.
I don't get why CU. It seems common, actually, that they're always disappointing to me. But they have 3 NBA players on their roster, so we did it. We did it. Where do you guys want to go from here? Should we recap a little bit here?
We could go to the big board, see who's available, because, I mean, the Nuggets
We're
under
getting up.
10 picks away here, because we're on number 19 here.
Jacoby Walter's still available. I like that guy, man. No, he seems like everybody in the know is a stay away. But when I watch the tape of him, I'm like, this guy can score, man.
He seems pretty safe.
Yeah, he looks like he can do stuff. But
He's like, Gary Harris, safe.
Scary
He's
Harris,
like
safe.
Josh Green, safe.
Scary Harris safe.
I mean, in the draft, he was a pretty projectable player. Like, that's what I mean in terms of safe. Very projectable. Like, Jacoby Walter, he's a 2-guard. 3-and-D 2-guard.
Yeah.
Wind, what do you think of Clintman? Are you a Clintman guy?
Yeah, I like Clintman. He's a stretch 4, but he's pretty big. Played in Australia last year. One of my guys. My 5th guy.
I think he'd be an interesting long-term small ball 5 option, but he didn't screen a lot in college. I just bring him up because we haven't talked about him a ton. He's in Denver's range.
Yeah,
Just
the
a guy
scouts are all really low on him.
Yeah.
I wanted him as one of my guys, and I started really reading the scouting reports on Bobby Clintman, and everybody hated him.
Yeah. Well, he's very perimeter oriented, and he's not that good at it.
Yeah.
But in transition, he's a good athlete, good with the ball in his
That's
hands.
why I comped him to Jeff Green.
I like that.
Because, like, Jeff Green, late career Jeff Green especially, 6'9", perimeter-oriented power forward.
Yeah, I studied the things that were in front of me. So, like, first-round guys, I have no idea who the hell that is.
You probably don't need to know.
Yeah, he played he's a Swedish forward, played in the NBL, also played at Wake. But he's kind of in Denver's range, just something to consider. Adam, what do you got?
Oh, boy. Sorry. Forgot for a second. I was
you're
hosting.
hosting. Yeah.
Forgot for a quick
You're
second.
in
What's that?
Chris
Rich?
Dempsey just actually, like, pushed this up, but, like, him playing for Orlando Magic coach, former Buff.
Jamal Mosley.
Jamal
No
Mosley,
kidding.
former
Yeah,
Buff.
look at that.
Oh, there you
So
go.
that is pretty cool.
That actually is super cool. That's a really good,
That is
angle
really
on
cool,
that.
actually.
Another pick is in the Toronto Raptors, taking my guy, Jacoby Walter.
Is this your
So there
guy?
you go.
You just had a whole list of guys. He wasn't on it.
Well, he was projected too high. He's projected too high.
All right.
Of the guys, though, so far, this is the guy that I was the highest on in terms. I mean,
That's good to know.
Would you guys want to know why I was highest on him?
Adam's
Tim
got a
Legler.
deep
Legler
roster.
liked him, so I liked him.
Hey,
Good
that-
shooter, moves really well, 3-and-D. This guy, just to me, he does feel safe. He feels like a guy that is going to be able to fill. He has 2 things he does at an NBA level, so I'm like, okay, one of them will hit.
Yeah.
Shooting and athleticism.
Yep. Well, I mean, yeah, guarding with athleticism, but yeah.
6'4", 6'10" wingspan. He's a classic 2-guard. 19 years old, just one and done at Baylor. I saw a lot of comps to KCP from him. I comped him to Malik Beasley just to kind of lower his ceiling a little bit. Good on-ball defender. Great shooter as well. I mean, you talk about just guys who have the best 3-point shot in this class. He's probably in that conversation. Just a beautiful jump shot. I mean, that's obviously why Tim Legler liked him. This guy's a great shooter.
Of course.
There you go right there. But a beautiful looking jumper. You just know
It is pretty, too. It looks so smooth.
You just know what a guy like Jacoby Walter is going to look like in the NBA,
You know who Legs comped his jumper to?
Who?
Devin Booker. Because Devin Booker is so smooth of a shooter.
Yeah.
Like, his shot just looks like it's, like, so easy.
Yeah.
Jacoby Walter as well. Also, Ja and Kobe in the name. That's a cool double. Ja and Kobe. Jacoby.
It's a great name.
Good analysis.
Great.
I like it. I love it.
You love Bob.
I meant that.
I meant Jacoby.
I
as a
meant my
cool name.
compliment.
I like it a
I
lot.
meant my compliment to you.
Oh, I got you.
Keep what you're doing up, man. Keep it up.
The Toronto Raptors. Man, they're in such a weird spot, though, because as much as I like Jacoby Walter, he's another guy that, to me, projects as a role player.
Yeah.
But they just talked about with this guy, Scotty Barnes, $200+ million.
Yeah.
Is
At least he
systematic.
can shoot it, though, next to Scotty Barnes.
But I also think, guys, we're deep enough into this draft now where it's, if you think the guy's good, take him. Fit is kind of a tough thing at this point to consider.
Yeah.
So who is on the board right now is Cleveland.
Cleveland's on the board at 20, then New Orleans. I mean, Cleveland,
Brand new coach,
they
Kenny
need
Atkinson.
a wing. They don't need really a big man necessarily. They don't need a point guard. They need a wing. And if you're looking at like best available there, they could take a Johnny Furphy type, a Keyshawn George type.
Such a tough name.
Although they kind of just took Johnny Furphy last year in Grady Dick.
Right. Bruce Brown expects himself to be traded, so maybe there's, something there.
Yeah, it should be an interesting week for Bruce Brown. We all know that.
LOL.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Cowboy hat emoji.
Cowboy hat emoji.
They've been like with Cleveland. All they keep talking about is guards, though. Like, even though they have guards.
Well, one of those guys is leaving, right?
One of those guys, Garland's getting traded.
One
eventually.
of those guys is leaving. So,
man, we're getting to the point right now where the players getting taken are guys that you're kind of hoping would fall. All these guys,
but I
even
will say
Filipowski.
nobody that I think has been a Nuggets target has been taken yet. Or
Correct,
a guy that
correct.
the Nuggets realistically thought
Correct.
they were thinking about. None of those guys have been gone yet.
The first one would be Filipowski. On this board would be Filipowski.
Yep.
You could say Dunn, Shireman, DaRon Holmes, who you took off the board.
This was not on me.
That you said you don't use him. Put him in the second round. He's a second rounder.
He was definitely on the top 33.
He said, "Kale, nowhere on the board should we have DaRon Holmes." Hey, do we have DaRon
Maybe
Holmes?
Emma doesn't like DaRon Holmes.
We've been building him up for 2 weeks. He said, "Don't put him on the big board."
Not
though.
even in the top 33.
That's a genius zag. Genius zag.
We've covered all bases.
But we don't believe in him. First guy we covered.
Have you gone to what the bar wants? Have you shown that clip? Go to that
I
clip.
wonder what they want.
That's not true. That's so true. So we asked people as they came to the bar, who is it that you guys are going to want for the draft pick? Who's it going to be? And, man, I can't read that. Anyway, they all said DaRon Holmes. A couple of them had Zach Edey.
But do you guys see the one with all the tallies? That's DaRon Holmes. That's
with 8, which is hilarious because if Edey's an option, you should have totally taken Edey, but he was never an option.
I know, and people online got shit
but
for
that's,
that.
But that's planting the seed. You kind of feel obligated to say Holmes.
Part of me, I'm telling you, I'm so in on this. Him being available at 28, but not being the pick.
It's
just
actually
so
what
funny.
I hope happens now.
We could have made our
Just
own
for the
parlay.
chaos alone.
Our own Bet365 parlay. That would have been hilarious.
And I don't know if you guys saw on Bet365, they have odds for who is the most likely guy to go at 28. Of course, it was DaRon Holmes. And he had, I think, maybe the lowest odds, or he was the biggest favorite from any draft slot to go in a specific spot.
Really?
Yeah, so Bet365 also buying the DaRon Holmes to Denver
Hold
smoke.
up. Has there been some movement on that at all?
I don't know.
I'll tell you, that is really the best way for you to get intel is to catch the betting lines. They know. They know before anybody else. Another pick is in. Did you already reveal it?
Cleveland, I don't know.
It's not in. I'm sorry.
But it is. It is.
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. Oh, this is going to be a heartbreaker. We have ourselves our first heartbreaker of the night.
What is it?
We got to let Kale get the computer, then he's got to load it up, and then you got to buffer a little bit.
The picks in the 20s where it starts.
It's where it starts, right?
It's where it starts. Now, man.
The
that's
way you
a shame.
guys are framing this, I feel like it's aimed at me.
It is a little.
Oh,
I know.
man.
Avert your eyes, Wind.
You hate. Maybe the first L you're taking as a father, Wind. Yeah, like a 10-day stretch there, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
sorry.
hate the fact that he's a great fit in Cleveland next to a Mitchell.
It really
right?
is. So
I mean,
true.
dude, he's a perfect guy to have next to like a scorer like that. Jalen Tyson, 6'6" guard from Cal. Played point guard, played shooting guard, even a little small forward as well. He's a jack of all trades type too, can do a little bit of everything. He was like Cal's best player, so he had to score a ton for a really bad Cal team, and like that's what he did. Averaged 20 points a game this last year in college, and really just blew up because wasn't getting talked about as that big of a prospect beforehand. He's got a lot of offensive juice, a lot of moves in his bag, despite the fact that he's not the quickest guy.
Yeah.
He's big, he's physical, so he knows how to use his body, get into the lane. Like I said, 20 points per game, pretty good shooter as well, good rebounder, he's got good vision. This one hurts, though.
Your
My number one
spidey
guy.
senses were kind of telling you he'd go higher than the mocks
Yeah.
were saying, and you were proven right.
Yeah, the intel we got on him was that he'll go higher than all the mocks say he will, and that's what ended up happening.
What do you think of Jalen Tyson, Dre? I've been hearing this guy rave about him.
I like him. There's also some real inconsistency where, like, yeah, the on-ball creation's great, but there was also some reckless turnovers, and like, Cal was so weird. Like, he had a lot of stretches where he'd kind of be bricking shots, and Cal would go down 20, and they had a lot of like OT losses or like second half comebacks, and it's because Jalen Tyson would get hot. The thing that I have the biggest doubt on is his finishing at the rim, but I wonder how much of that is he's getting like triple teamed at the rim because defenses were so keyed in on him, and that might improve. As far as like Bruce Brown archetypes, him and Terrence Shannon were my favorite guys. Terrence Shannon's still around.
There you go.
So
there
you go.
Jalen Tyson was the guy who I thought most resembled Bruce Brown in this first round.
That's why you liked him.
That was a big reason I liked him. He has that versatility. He can play on ball, off ball, even slide down to the three. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah,
too.
he is a microwave scorer.
Yeah.
But he was on a bad team.
Terrible
so like
team.
we didn't even actually get to see what he looks like when it's not, all attention on him, or like having a high usage rate and just trying to create with all of the double teams and things that are coming his way. I like the fact that it is two-way. On a team that's losing a lot, you can see a guy that like gets frustrated, especially if they're taking a lot of shots. That is like, I'm going to just go in all offense and not try to find a way to play defense, or I'm not going to have the energy. And he had that energy. You also talked about like, a bit undersized, but he did find a way to score, and he would score a bunch of points. He had some huge nights. He had some not so huge nights.
Yeah.
But he continued to go after it, and I like that two-way acumen.
Another pick is in. Kale, New Orleans is on the clock. David Griffin's decision has been made. He's going with Yves Missy. Did I get this right?
I think so.
We're not sure.
Good to get this guy off the board. Of all the centers, he was the one that didn't make sense for the Nuggets.
Yeah,
so it was good. I really hated a scenario where Misi was the center that dropped. So I'm glad he's off.
Well, New Orleans needed a big man. They're probably losing and saying goodbye to Jonas Valanciunas this summer. Some chatter that he might go to the Lakers, which would be interesting.
SAR aside, all the centers going out west.
Yeah.
It's so wild, man. You're
but
right.
they get
Lots of
Misi,
fresh meat for
Misi, 19 years old, a lot of potential, but
Yeah.
he's a guy who is probably going to take a year or two to be ready to play.
Incubate.
6'11", 7'2" wingspan, 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. He projects as like, your classic lob catching, defending the rim type of big man, in the same mold as a Clint Capella, Jalen Duran, those types of centers. That's what Misi is. I think I comped him to Jalen Duran.
So New Orleans is a team, Dev, that, again, I keep waiting. Are they going to break the right direction? Because they could be good. They got a lot of players, but they need that center position. Is this a guy that fits next to Zion?
I think so. There are going to be people that like to stack the paint with him, especially like not being a brute force type of, offensive guy the way that Valanciunas was. Like he'll be able to create because he's going to, go down there and bang and be able to create in his own ways. But at least you get a guy that can, be a little bit agile, that can get there, that has the wingspan. And you need another big man. Like they're going to get rid of Valanciunas. You have to like fill it with the hole. Why not go after a young guy that has high upside? And he brings that type of upside. They ran a lot of action for him at Baylor around the rim and just find ways to get there. So it's like two athletic guys.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to play them the entire time together. When Zion goes out, you have another guy that you could plug in, and they're both athletic. So I do like that athleticism and like just aerial attacks.
Two bigs you can really run the floor with.
He's a hell of an athlete.
It's the offense that's going to be the question. I worry if it's almost a Jared Allen, Evan Mobley type pairing.
Yeah,
where,
I think it's a weird.
Is there
thing,
enough
to be
spacing?
honest. They needed a center. They needed a big man. They're losing Valanciunas, but no real spacing with him and Zion.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also got a lot of other like defense first, offense second guys in terms of like a Herb Jones, a Dyson Daniels. Obviously, we think they're going to be trading Brandon Ingram very soon. I don't know really what direction this New Orleans team is heading right now.
Yeah.
Because this is a guy who's not probably going to be a real positive player next year.
They probably don't have the space for an Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein, man, is the guy that I look at. Could go there, but also Oklahoma City. Those would be the two spots I'd be most terrified of Hartenstein to land. Because Hartenstein's a good player.
Kind of the rumor pre-draft. He makes a ton of sense for them.
If I had to wait 6 years to be right on Hartenstein, and the way I'm right is because he dominates the Nuggets in the playoffs, I will be so mad I will spit.
Man, the black Jokic dominating the white Jokic. That'd be rough.
That'd be a really rough one for...
I did see something that Hartenstein might stick in New York for a hometown discount, or a discount, not really his hometown, but where he just played. Because they don't have enough money available after Anunoby to give him what he could get. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he lines up.
I also think the Pelicans, to me, it would be insane for them to keep Ingram. I think they're going to move on from him. I'm curious what the market is for a Brandon Ingram.
I'm not an Ingram guy. We all know that. I hate Brandon Ingram. I would just never want him as like one of my top couple guys on a playoff team. I just don't think he's that guy. I feel like NBA teams probably value him a little more than that, though.
So if I told you had to pick between Houston and New Orleans, who's going to be the scarier team next year? I know we have a lot of offseason to go, but I'm saying if you're projecting with what we've seen so far.
I'd say New Orleans, but so much of that comes down to Zion's health.
No.
How can you trust Zion's health? You know, I think you ultimately, and so much of it depends on Brandon Ingram. What kind of trade are you getting from him? You know, so I think the Rockets are the safer pick, though I hate it. I don't necessarily love the Rockets, but they've shown a lot. I just think they've got to figure some stuff out still.
My answer is the Rockets, but it's more so of do they want to win? Like if they're trying to go after wins, I think that they're the more talented, better team. But they don't care to win. They have pieces. They have pieces you could build around. Theirs is not only about health.
Right.
It's just about like if they're going to try to go for the win. Also, there's so many question marks with the Pelicans, and I mean that's why we're on it. Brandon Ingram, if he's there or not. If he's not there, that does change. Like he's a 20-point-a-night scorer.
Mm-hmm.
So not having him, like that does change if they're dangerous or not. And also, how do you replace him? It's not going to be with these young guys.
Yep.
Can we go real quick to what I showed you? It's just Tristan da Silva. Is he Brazilian/German heritage? His family wearing lederhosen to the draft today. Did you notice?
I did not notice that, no.
Kale, do you have it? Stop.
He didn't have the mic on, so it's okay.
Stop.
That one was
But there you go. There you got his family wearing. You can't even see. You can zoom in on the photo a little bit. But lederhosen to the draft. Maybe the first time ever.
That's a move.
I don't even think Hartenstein had that.
That's a move.
I mean, yeah.
Dirk didn't even rock that. Franz Wagner didn't even rock that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'd say 10 out of 10 fit.
Rare that your dad steals the fit show, though.
I know. And also Tristan da Silva, he's not like a very like out there guy in terms of that kind of stuff. He's not like a flashy dude.
Yeah.
He wore like a pretty traditional, or actually, I don't know. He wore a red suit?
Just a red suit. Yeah, that stands out.
That's a little flashy, actually.
What do you think?
It's like the chest is black, the sleeves are red. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'd say that's flashy.
That
Chest
is
is black, sleeves
Dad,
are
what do you
red.
think? What kind of suit would you go for? Honest question. I know you're going to say something crazy, but honest question. What do you think you're?
I want to say something crazy.
That was even better.
I thought he was going to do the bit of like,
based
I would
on
be
what Dev wore when he got drafted to DNVR. I mean,
we saw the documentary. You saw
Very
it.
regular outfit. I would be a bow tie guy, I think.
Bow tie?
Bow tie
guy.
Wow.
bow ties are great.
Yeah, bow tie, no socks. Like I'll make sure that it's like a high water type of like feel.
Yeah.
I would go with that type of feel. But also I could be bought very easily.
My.
So sponsors out there, if y'all want to buy that,
This is a
it's
big
very
one,
easy
boys.
to buy
This
me
is
off.
not a
I'm not gonna
drill.
lie to you.
I would want to see that.
I would also try to be a Louis Vuitton guy. I love that.
Louis Vuitton. What would you
For
go?
sure.
How do you think you would address?
I mean, Dev's kind of speaking my language. That's kind of what I wore to my wedding: bow tie and no socks. So, like, I would probably wear a little something like that.
All right. I think I would go classic. You guys know me. I always try to see it very classic. I'd try to look like James Bond or something.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, this is not a drill. Kale, are you ready for us?
30 seconds.
Hurry up, hurry up,
Oh
hurry
my
up.
gosh.
I feel like Adam would wear
Hold
a
on,
pretty
we have a
traditional
Nuggets.
suit.
We have a Nuggets trade.
Oh.
Yeah, we did. We got a Nuggets trade.
Oh, I thought we weren't tipping picks, but I guess we are.
Well, it's going to be like 3 minutes before our thing buffers. The Denver Nuggets have made a trade. The Denver Nuggets have made a trade. Alert the bar.
I just did. I just
The
told
Denver Nuggets have made a trade. The Denver Nuggets have made a trade.
Traded for number 22 and taken DaRon Holmes.
Well, we knew it.
Well, we're like, what if the Galaxy brain didn't know?
No,
They just told everybody 3 weeks
Calvin
ago.
Booth tells you exactly what he's thinking, and he's not kidding.
Well, here's the thing. A trade, man, this is where we hold our breath for the details of this trade. Because, all right, you get DaRon Holmes. You liked him. We liked it. We're into it. But you traded up. So what did you trade up? 6 spaces? Not that many places. I'll tell you what, the bar...
The bar sees it, and
there it is.
They love it.
Finally got it. So DaRon Holmes, I'll tell you what, there it is.
You just saw the logo switch.
They saw the logo switch. I'll tell you what, the DNVR bar is very excited.
We got the return.
All right, we have the return.
The
Give it to
Nuggets.
me.
The Nuggets are sending pick number 28.
Okay.
Number 56. So both of their picks tonight.
Right.
And 2 future second-round
Hell
picks.
yeah.
So nothing.
Hell yeah. That's great.
Hey, if that's your
Calvin
guy,
Booth,
if
got
that's
your
your
guy.
guy, that's an easy trade. Go get him.
So some other guys were on the board, some guys that we like. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. But officially, DaRon Holmes is a Denver Nugget. First thought, Dev.
I mean, it was a promise. He's a man of his word. He said that he was getting Holmes. He went out and got Holmes. This is Calvin Booth for another year, showing that he's going to go after whoever it is that he wants. And if he has to go reach for him, he's going to reach for him. And we even seen that with the Peyton Watson pick. Like, he was way out of range. But if they really like a guy, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that it happens. So I like that. I mean, I don't like the fact that it was leaked so early. But I do like that they're like, hey, we made you a promise. We're going to go through with that because you're the guy that we want.
I think it's great that the Nuggets did get, their guy. They obviously felt like he wasn't going to last at 28.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure Phoenix, I'm sure Milwaukee, I'm sure these teams also knew that the Nuggets wanted him. And so I'm sure there was some gamesmanship, even if Phoenix wasn't going to take him, that, all right, you got to trade up for him. So not great maneuvering there on Denver's part, showing their hand that DaRon Holmes was their guy when it turned out to be their guy.
But it didn't cost them.
But it didn't really cost them that much. The 56th pick, who really cares? Future second-round picks, who really cares? Nobody really knows what they're worth. They're probably worth more nothing than something.
You could buy them. And also,
not when you're in the second apron, but whatever.
But also, half the guys don't want draft. After 45, a lot of guys will rather be undrafted and go, to 2A or what have you.
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line. The Nuggets had 2 picks. We dreaded them taking 2 players. Now they will not. It appears as though they'll take 1 player and they got their guy. And it didn't cost them anything of value.
And what you love about this is it fits a need.
And it fits a need.
DaRon Holmes at a front court spot, backup power forward, backup center. It's really the one spot where the Nuggets didn't have one of these prospects in their pipeline. Jalen Pickett's a point guard. Julian Strawther's a shooting guard. Hunter Tyson, probably more of a 3. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, they're already on their way, so they're not really in this conversation. But they don't have one of these guys coming up at the 4 or at the 5. And DaRon Holmes, he really fits the Calvin Booth model as well.
How so?
He's not necessarily as old as a Jalen Pickett or Hunter Tyson. He's 22 years old, but he's experienced. He's pretty polished, and he's ready to play NBA minutes, I feel like, pretty quickly. He's averaged 20.4 points per game last year, 39% from 3, 8.5 rebounds. He is a power forward. He is a center, and he can definitely score the ball. Out of the post, out of the pick and roll, the pick and pop. He's going to be able to shoot it. 6'9", 7-foot wingspan, maybe a tad undersized for a center.
Right.
But I think he's got enough skill to make up for it. I think all things considered, it's a great pick for the Nuggets.
Look, if you really like your guy in this draft, go get him.
Yeah.
And I don't. There's Project Dynasty, which is thinking about the first and thinking about the second apron. And then there's you're still in Jokic's prime, and future second-round picks are expendable, man. They just are. So, the question, it's the million-dollar question. Can Holmes fill this void as the backup big off the bench? I do like the idea that he's not just a roller or just a shooter, maybe a guy that can do a bit of both. I'm just hopeful eventually this is a guy who, when he pops or when he rolls, the defense reacts.
Right.
Because we've seen Jermichael Green, they did not react, and he missed the shot. We've seen Zeke rolling, they did not react, took a lot of layups, did not do a lot of dunks. Is this a guy that can cause the defense to collapse, change how they're thinking, change the dynamic off the bench? It's a big if for any late first, but they clearly feel he's a guy with some potential. They went up and got him. And at the end of the day, this is a guy that Org has told you they're taking. They went out and they got him. I would say hold off feeling disappointed on this until he looks bad. Otherwise, this is just business as broadcasted for the Nuggets.
And DaRon Holmes, he's probably the best and most offensive skilled big man that the Nuggets have had backing up Nikola Jokic in a while. Like DaRon Holmes, he can shoot the three. He can shoot the mid-range jumper. He's got a little post game. He's pretty solid and fluid in the pick and roll. Like, he's good around the rim. He is very, very skilled offensively. I mean, he averaged 20 points per game on very good efficiency at Dayton last year. And so, you can definitely project him to plug in behind Jokic, behind Aaron Gordon. And, I think he can play next year. I do.
I definitely think so as well. That's part of why you liked him. Here's why I liked DaRon Holmes. He can play with Jokic. This is the hardest thing. Finding a guy that can be a backup center to Denver. I think he has, first of all, played in a smart system, played for a smart coach. So he's going to come in with, in my opinion, a foundational, a good foundation. There's a basketball player in there. And has a skill set that also is different than Nikola's. Can play above lob threat, play above the rim, move. But also, there's things that, when we were scouting him, last week and talking about him, one of the things I said I liked was, there's some guys that I feel like you become Jokic's understudy and they'll pick things up. And there's some guys that'll be Jokic's understudy and it's not even in the same class. There's nothing there. They're not gonna match up there. I think he's a guy that's gonna learn from Jokic. I actually think it's a very good mentor for him to have. I had heard that he really wanted to be in Denver, which is always great. And I'm not saying this. Part of why there was the promise and all these different things, part of it was he really wanted to play in Denver. And I think that's a great... I love when I hear... You remember we used to always do this when guys would come into the draft. Who was the guy that from Seton Hall or somebody ended up not being a player, hurt his foot, but he came in and was like, Yoke's my hero, I want to play.
Yeah. Was it Admiral Schofield?
No. It was a little bit better than that. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. But we were all high on him because of that. DaRon Holmes is a similar guy. Likes Jokic, wants to learn from him, wanted to be in Denver for it. I like that.
DaRon Holmes was asked at the NBA Combine what types of players, who in the NBA he looks up to, who he models his game after, who he takes stuff from. I think he named 4 players, and 2 of them were Nuggets.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon were guys he named.
Important follow-up investigation, though. We should check all their interviews in each market, because it might be I love Jason Tatum.
That was at the Combine, so it was in front of everybody.
You're right.
So, I mean, he definitely has an affinity for Jokic and the Nuggets and how they do things. And I also think he's a guy who can play backup 5, but he can probably also play next to Nikola Jokic, too.
That's what I was just going to say. When you talk about that playing next to Nikola Jokic, the 2 guys that he said he wants to play like, those are the guys that he's backing up. He can play the backup 4. He can play the backup 5. It sucks, but, I mean, all attention goes to Zeke Naji. Now you have to move him. And it makes sense to move him. I feel like the writing has been on the wall there anyway. But now you bring somebody in that is going to play those exact same roles. And then you talk about him being the best offensive guy when it comes to being a backup in quite some time. That's where the change was for the Nuggets. They had backup centers, but they were all defensive-minded. Now I think that they just bought in. We're going to get a guy in that could do a little bit of both, but also that needs to play offensively. I mean, we're going to need him to play good defense. You're going to need him to step in and take over that role on the defense. But you're going to have another guy that you throw out there, and you're going to play the same type of basketball. And I think that continuity, it works for Denver and what they have needed, thus far.
And I'll also say, I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead here, but you draft DaRon Holmes. front court guy, backup 5, potentially the 4 next to Nikola Jokic. The Zeke Najee trade has to be next.
It has to be.
Like, you cannot go into the year with this guy and Zeke Najee. Like, that trade has to be coming soon.
It has to be. And look, let's look at it this way. Probably a playable backup big. Let's say they got their backup plan, their plan at backup center. Now all attention has to go to backup ball handler, whether that's your limited means through free agency, trading Zeke, and whoever else it takes to upgrade at backup point guard. To me, that's the priority. I feel like you walk away from the draft with a backup center you like, good stuff. If you finish this summer with an upgrade at point guard and you keep KCP, job well done.
I have a question for the chat. Are we back in on Calvin Booth?
I don't know if this is going to get everybody back. He
has to play well.
But he won the press conference.
He did win the press. But you know what's funny about here's the thing about Cal as we've gotten to know him. He is a man of strong conviction. You know what I mean? Like, he really believes in his vision, and that's a double-edged sword. But I will say, he knew where the pick needed to be. It's like, I got to get to 22, because we had talked all along. Who did we say might be taking him? Milwaukee at 23.
Or the Knicks with back-to-back picks who are probably losing their starting center.
Exactly, right there. So he kind of knew, read the room very perfectly. Okay, if I want this guy, I got to go to 22.
Yeah.
Found a deal that, to me, makes complete sense. I mean, part of this is you could have traded things, and it would have felt a little weird. They traded second-rounders that we didn't even want.
A Pickett or a Tyson,
yeah,
I probably still would have looked at it pretty favorably.
Same.
I probably still would have said good deal. But the fact that they just gave up second rounders, I don't care that it's the Phoenix who needs second rounders, whatever. Second rounders very rarely work out. This was a great trade to move up and get him.
I think there's no question now that Zeke has to be gone. Yeah. I think that was always the plan, of course. Nobody thought that. But I think if you're Zeke Najee, you're probably sitting at home going like, all right, well, there you go. But here's one thing I'll say about DaRon Holmes, and I said it earlier in the week. He now moves into third on my board of players I'm most hyped about. Young players. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, number 1 and 2 with a bullet. Probably a little bit of a gap there, but DaRon Holmes passes Julian Strawther for me of guys I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty excited about this guy.
How much of that is because he's probably has a clearer path to more playing time?
It's partly that, honestly. But also with Strawther, Strawther and Holmes, to me, it's like I have the same amount of questions, but I've seen Strawther for 1 year. Yeah. And he's older. And I look at Holmes and I'm like, he's young. I just like the mold. I like the type of player. I like the personality from what I've seen of him. I'm pretty excited, man. I'm pretty excited about the pick.
I am too, man. And I'm almost more encouraged by them trading up. I know that's crazy, but it's just, to me, it shows some conviction in that they just thought this was the guy. And you can look.
There's a lot of guys on the table still. Dunn is on the table. Shireman's still on the table. Philip Powell.
They could have just waited and said who's left, but they really wanted a guy. And so we'll find out together if he is the guy, if they're right. But the conviction in it, to me, Dev, instills some belief, some confidence.
Yeah, I mean, with Booth, I mean, it keeps on going back to those things. I'm going to get whatever it is that I want, and I'm going to do things to make that happen. And he made that happen. And also, it's like it's way down the road, and it's not too much on it. And I think that's where you buy this and say, yeah, this is the perfect draft if that's who you wanted. And then also you look at the rest of the people that are coming. Those are not the people that we wanted. That's the people that you just throw out there. When you look at the list of people that was on the list, he was number 1 on everybody's board. They promised it to him. He wants to play here, and then that's where you buy in. You just want the buy-in, both sides.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a worker. I think he's going to fit in. I think he's going to make the summer league team very exciting.
There we go.
There we go. You guys know about it.
I mean, dude, the Pickett Holmes 2-man game. I know you're drawing up actions and plays already
for the post-game show, but we'll get to that as well. I wanted to save it. I think this is good for Pickett. I think it's good for Pickett. You got a pick and pop and a pick and pop spread.
With each pick that's been made tonight, all I've thought about is how does this affect Jalen Pickett?
That's how you have to think when you're the Nuggets. You
That's
have to
a great angle.
Your star.
It's a great angle.
Your star second round.
You are sick in the head, and if he becomes a good player, I'm never talking to you again.
No, here's the thing, man. I've been saying it. He's a second rounder who didn't get to play his first year. Like the odds are so stacked against him. But I am glad for this. I am way higher on. If I were to do this, I would say Christian Brown, Peyton Watson 1, 2, DaRon Holmes 3, Strawther 4, and there's a big gap to me before you get to like Hunter and Pickett. To me, those guys are like Well, those guys to me are like lotto tickets almost.
There is one other point to this, barring future moves. Denver's done with this draft.
Thank God.
For those who are in the Newton kind of Mogbo, like what's left in the late second,
they can become
trade in
undrafted.
They could trade in, barring any other moves, though. Just worth pointing out.
Cal be a wild boy.
It trades in for Shireman.
That it was both of this year's picks they sent out. Just reminding everyone. So as it stands, this is
Philip
Denver's only
Kowski,
pick.
maybe still on the board.
I like it, man.
So I think my one concern about Holmes, I like pretty much everything about him. I love how skilled and polished he is for a big man. Like, if you're taking a big man, this is why I kind of hated the New Orleans pick, because like they're trying to be good and they took Misi, a project. Like, I don't like that. Holmes is ready to go. He's skilled, he's polished, he has a good understanding of the game, good basketball IQ from everything we know. He's going to be able to come in and make an impact, I think, immediately. I am a little worried that he's undersized as a true 5. 6'9", maybe 6'10".
Yeah, but
smaller than Zeke Naji. He is undersized for even a backup center.
In shoes?
In shoes. So there is that. But, how the Nuggets play, like playing Peyton Watson at the 3 with that second unit, you got size, Christian Brown, you can make up for it.
Who's the best backup center in the playoffs for the Nuggets last 2 years?
Aaron Gordon.
How tall is he?
6'8". I'm just saying, for the regular season especially, because I'm not banking on DaRon Holmes being like the playoff guy. Yeah, that's Aaron Gordon.
Of course.
To go against other backup centers in the regular season, I have a little concern there. But, I mean, that doesn't nearly come close to outweighing, like, what he's actually going to be. And I think that's a ready-to-go guy.
Yeah, just to follow you on, like, the concerning part of it, I'm not very concerned, but if you look at the West, and especially this draft and the last couple of drafts, the West big men, they are the ones that look strong. There's some really talented big men that are young out West, and now you bring in a guy that, is he a backup center, or is he going to, play primarily that backup center, or are they going to try to use him as a tweener that's going to play that power forward spot? So, I mean, each time he's out there are going to be young guys that he is going to have to prove himself again. So he needs to be ready for that. He is going to have to bulk up. He is going to have to use his size to his advantage. But offensively, he is ready to play. He's going to learn behind the best player in basketball. He's going to get better. He's behind Aaron Gordon, who's a junkyard dog. So I think that he will, be in line to get better.
And I do wonder if this takes them away from really going to get a veteran minimum backup center that can play. And I wonder if this pushes them more towards the DeAndre Jordan angle, or maybe they just don't even have that guy and they just have Vlatko there instead. And now they can use maybe that veteran minimum guy on a point guard or on another guard.
I think the reason you need a DeAndre, or I know some guys are in on Batazde or Tice or some of this, the reason I think you need him is if Yoke's out, just like not even a major injury, he's out for 6 games. Then you're talking about only small size guys. That's more what you're talking about. I still think backup center, like Naz Reid's not that big. That, like you're and he's
DaRon Holmes, I think, is taller than Naz Reid.
And that's what I'm saying, is that most of the time, I honestly think even in the regular season, you could mostly get away with a small ball backup 5s.
I do too, yeah.
But if your center misses time and it's like, oh crap, you've got Embiid tonight, or you've got, Yoke wouldn't miss an Embiid game. We know
also,
that. He shows up for those ones. But bad example there.
In Denver or Philadelphia.
The whole Denver operation is just, I hope Jokic never misses time. If he does, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, there's a new pick in. This one for the Wiz at 24. Was that correct? Yes. No, are we buffering? We're buffering.
Did we switch producers?
Back one.
24, yeah.
The Wiz moved up. Knicks moved down backwards 2 spots. We don't know who they took, though. Unclear who the pick is. My guy Ryan Dunn's still out there. Oh, Kayshawn George.
Bust.
Really? That's well, the Wizards took him, so.
I know, that helps my agenda there.
Tell us about him.
Kayshawn George, 6'7" shooter. He is a shooter. Like, that's the first thing he does. That's really the only good thing he does right now. Absolute 3-point marksman out of Miami. Really young, just one and done too. But who took him? The Wizards?
Yeah. They traded.
Maybe a Kispert replacement.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm reaching here.
By the way, crazy thing, Mogbo had a higher standing reach than Holmes.
What's Holmes' wingspan? 7? Is it 7? I think it's just over 7. Because that would be important when just thinking about if he can give you some time at backup center.
7'2".
So a very plus wingspan.
Very plus, yep.
Like plus 5 inches there.
Oh wait, I got that. I'm sorry, that was 7'1". 7'1".
Okay, we'll
Still
take
good.
it.
Still good.
Still good.
I honestly like the pick, man.
Dude, it's a home run.
It's a Holmes run.
It's a Holmes run. We talked about this the whole week, man. What could the Nuggets do tonight to make it a good night? It was drafting DaRon Holmes. That was number 1 on that checklist.
That's right. That really was. We're so far out. Now they just got to get KCP, and we're good.
I'm telling you,
you signed KCP. We're rolling, baby.
If they would have drafted anybody else, because of how this pick has been kind of telegraphed, I think there would have been a general feeling of disappointment in the fan base if they drafted anybody else.
Yeah.
But the fact that they got Holmes, and I mean, it's a great pick. Like, all the draft grades here are going to be A's, I'm sure. Like, it's not a reach. This is where he was projected to go. The reviews are going to be good, and this is a pick that the Nuggets fan base, of course, loves.
Yeah.
For good reason.
I agree as well. We have one more ad break, is that right?
We do.
All right, let's hit that real quick while we wait for some of this picks to wrap up. The Knicks on the board, by the way, with 2 back-to-back picks.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It is important sometimes to get yourself in front of a professional and get your thoughts and feelings out. Therapy changed my life. It might be able to change yours. Life is hard, man. Don't go through it alone. If you're looking to benefit from therapy, just know that BetterHelp is a great option here. Become your own soulmate. You know what I mean? Whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/DNVR today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DNVR, and get yourself in front of a professional and get yourself talking about what's challenging you in life, because therapy can be a place to work through the challenges you face in all of your relationships, whether with friends, work, your significant other, or anyone. Don't go through it alone. Even if you're just feeling alone, you don't feel like you can turn to people in your life, you can turn to professional. Check out BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/DNVR today to get 10% off your first month.
Now we have to ask the question for real. Does Jokic give up number 15 for him?
I think it would be the funniest move of all time.
It's hilarious. We joked about it yesterday.
Do you know
it's not going to happen.
Do you know
It's just
why
funny.
he wears 15?
Jokic?
No.
Oh, Holmes? No. Is it because his favorite player is Carmelo Anthony?
Well, I was going to say, it would be what did we say? We need to start an agency, a pandering agency that we just advise players. He should. Come to Denver and be like, guess why
I'm
I
going
wear
to look
15?
it up real quick.
Nikola Jokic, my favorite player. I've been studying him my whole life.
Dude,
You're old enough now that DaRon Holmes actually could have been watching him his whole life.
This is really our calling, man. It's just a consultancy agency that tells you, look, you'll get flamed on Twitter for this, or everyone will love you.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we have.
Not seeing anything in a quick search here on number 15. Well, no, you know what DaRon Holmes should do? He should say it's because Jokic is his favorite player, but then he should say, I just wore it because it was the biggest jersey and they just gave it to me. Which is why Jokic wears 15.
Which would actually maybe be just as cool.
Yeah.
If we look at the bench now, if we just say, all right, we know this.
Rotation time.
Yeah, rotation. I mean, just real quickly, we'll do this on the wrap-up show as well, right after the first round ends. But if you look at it right now, all right, your top 5, let's just pencil KCP in there, even though I think he's more of a question mark than anything. Your bench at the moment, Pickett is slotted into that spot, whether you like it or not. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson are locks. Who's the next lock, Dev?
Hold on, you think Pickett is locked in there?
Who's else the point guard? Oh, Reggie, I guess you could say Reggie on the team. All right. So I don't think Reggie will be on the team, so that's why.
I think Pickett would be the lock.
You think Reggie would be the lock?
Yeah,
all right, we'll call Reggie, but I think he'll be traded. But Pickett, okay.
I think that
Strother, Holmes.
Holmes has to play. I feel like he has to play. I'll put Holmes above Latko. I will put Holmes above Zignaji, saying that he's on the team.
Yep.
So, yeah, I will put Holmes, Julian Strother, and Pickett. But then the question goes of Hunter Tyson and how he fits.
I know. That's a weird question.
You're looking for 4 guys off the bench in a 9-man rotation. It's pretty clearly Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, DaRon Holmes.
You think Holmes already slots in where you project more likely than not that he will surpass
to be the primary backup big man?
Yeah.
I think so.
Him working out in Denver would be great. The nice thing about rookies is you get them for several years, and it would just be, you look at, you can never predict the NBA too far down the road, but if he can be that guy in year 1, obviously years 2 and 3, it would be huge for you, and that'd just be unbelievable.
It's worth reiterating how low the bar is right now for that slot on this roster. It was a disaster 2 years running, frankly, and so this is a low bar that they're hoping he can clear.
Something else that I love about this pick is who did the Nuggets trade up with to get this pick? The Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Part of me absolutely loves this because there's now a chance like the Suns don't get the guy that they might have wanted in the first round if they have a little miscalculation here, a little OG and an OB miscalculation. I'm sure they're trying to get Kolek. I'm sure he'll be there. But there's a chance like Phoenix really messes this up. And I mean, me personally, as a hater of all things about the Suns and Matt Ishbia, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that is also funny that they have all these second-round picks now.
Right.
That's going to be their entire roster.
I mean, they got to restock the roster when they trade Kevin Durant for future picks as well.
Yeah.
They need an arsenal of picks here.
might be the case. What other thoughts do we have here? I mean, the Nuggets almost certainly not taking another pick here. How surprised would you be if they were to take another one?
Very.
It ain't happening.
Well, I mean, definitely not here in the late first round.
What if that's what it took to trade Zeke? There's like Zeke, and they ended up getting the 33rd pick for Zeke.
I mean, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
If you get positive value for Zeke. I was banking on having to attach a future pick to get rid of him, which they still might have to do, but...
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think the priorities are pretty clear now. Obviously, KCP, and then add ball handling if you can. If you can.
I think it's interesting, man. I think it's really interesting. Who do you think so far? Are you surprised? I guess I was going to say, are you surprised at all that he went this high? Because he was falling, sort of. Also, like the Nuggets had him in that draft, and then earlier there was these reports. Then the latest mocks had him like 32.
Yeah. He's a guy, DaRon Holmes, who, if you're a good team, if you're a playoff team, he's clearly the big man in this range that you get. And you looked at a couple of these teams coming up here. The Knicks, they need a big man. For some reason, they took Bakome Daddier. I don't know why. But maybe they'll take a big man with this next pick. Minnesota coming up as well. Whoever was picking before the Knicks, I think it was another playoff team, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They ended up taking A.J. Johnson, one of my guys, but you could have seen them maybe taking a big man because they might be trading Brook Lopez and losing Bobby Portis. So this range, I think it was pegged pretty well by Calvin Booth that DaRon Holmes could go there just because you got a lot of teams that you feel like could talk themselves into him. And so, I mean, I love the aggressiveness to go up and get him. They probably had to.
Another Frenchman?
I'm telling you, France is everywhere. France is everywhere in this draft.
Unbelievable.
France and Colorado make up 90% of the draft.
The French-Colorado draft, dude. That's awesome.
French-Colorado connection. Homie Flo is in heaven at the moment. What about bust potential?
I feel like it's not high, really at all. I mean, usually with busts, you're looking at a guy who either fits the mold of Peyton Watson, where he just is really young and didn't do anything in college, or he's an older player who might not have a elite NBA skill. Those are the two categories of bust usually. And big men, big man can bust, but DaRon Holmes is. I keep going back to this. He's so polished for a guy who's 21 years old. It's not like he's a 23, 24-year-old veteran. Still kind of in that middle range in terms of age. But he's just so polished and he's got a go-to offensive game. I feel like his offensive game translated to against second units. I just feel like it's going to work. I don't feel like there's a ton of bust potential here.
I think that bust, it depends on who you're asking. Is Zeke Naji a bust?
Yes.
Because they come at the number 22 spot. They're drafted around the exact same. And
I would say yes, given Denver's needs. It's almost like you're right. Par for 22 pick is probably Zeke Naji, but Denver kind of needs. I mean, they're banking on.
Yeah, I think that's where you start to argue what that looks like. And then also, if you're going to stick on the Zeke Nnaji, what does Holmes have to do for you to consider him not a bust? Like, does he actually go and play for Denver?
Yes.
Win. Like, I think that you just kind of, he's right there with Zeke, that everything he does, you just compare it to Zeke.
Yeah.
Does he have a good second year? Does he go and, have a big summer where he actually plays in his third year? Or, what it looks like. I think that you're a few years away to figure that out, but you just have to just put him on the same part for, like, he's right there with Zeke.
And Zeke Nnaji had a pretty good rookie season too, all things considered.
Malik on ESPN said every team was operating under the idea that the Nuggets were drafting Holmes. I find that a little bit funny that they traded up if that was what everybody was operating under.
Well, then, in theory, if that's out there, if you're a team like Phoenix, don't you just tell everyone you're taking Holmes, and then Denver
what they did.
And then Denver has to call you and say, "We'll make it 3 second rounders."
But this is what I'm saying, is that the price of second rounders is like,
I know. You would have think a team would have asked for a prospect,
a Strother or Hunter or something, something else that hurt.
But he went to the one team that needs the second round.
They need him so bad,
right? Do it.
Build
so it was like a match made in heaven. Like, that was. You want to talk about promises? That was the promise that they made.
Yeah.
You let us take that, we'll give you the 3 second rounders, like, on both sides. So they knew that they were picking from 22.
I'm definitely not going to sweat future seconds with where Denver's at right now. If that's what it takes to make you better. And look, it's a prospect. It's not a vet min. So in theory, you feel there's a future there. But if that's what it takes to make you better, if you feel like that's the guy, that's fine with me, man. Go for it.
Let's get some super chats in.
Cedric, we already hit that one. Let's go to Sean Croissant, who says the difference between Holmes and Zeke? ? What would you say is the difference?
There's massive differences. Like, Zeke Nnaji coming out of the draft was a very inexperienced and raw, big man who stayed around the rim pretty much the whole time at Arizona. He doesn't have a post game, not really that skilled outside of his athleticism. Zeke Nnaji. DaRon Holmes is so skilled. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot it. He's got a good in-between game. He's got good moves in the post.
He's a good screener.
They couldn't be more opposite, I feel like, in terms of their skill sets.
I know, it really is funny, the comp.
The screening one's encouraging to me because it's something that Denver, Zeke just was so underwhelming overall that you almost, getting into the little pieces of it, we almost don't even bother. But just ineffective and meaningless screening. Really, just the defense did not have to react. So I'm just hopeful that Holmes can have some kind of impact in that role.
By the way, shot 38.6% from 3 last year on 83 attempts, which is good volume.
His shot looks good too.
1 of 7 his freshman year, 6 of 19 his sophomore year, 32 of 83, almost 39% hit this last year. That's a pretty big inflection point for him.
It's also the confidence. He saw himself becoming the man, and also it was something that he worked on in the offseason. You're not taking any threes when you first get to college. Then you're like, okay, I'm working myself into the rotation, and then you're like, I'm the man. I'm going to take those type of shots. So you see a guy that kind of knows that he has to work and what he has to work on. So similar to Zeke, it's what that offseason looks like. If you're going to put in the work, let's see if you're going to be productive after. And he's showing that he can be productive if that's what he's locked in on.
Another thing I like about him, so one, athleticism, even though his vertical jump was only 28 inches, I think, at the combine, or 27 and a half, not that high. But you watch the tape, they're functionally athletic. He plays above the rim. He finishes above the rim. He catches lobs. So you add athleticism. But another thing I keep talking about that the Nuggets lack, motor. And they don't necessarily lack this off the bench, but Holmes, Brown, Payton, those 3 guys now that have a motor off of the bench, and I just think that's such a Hunter Tyson, if he plays, another guy that plays with motor. That's DaRon Holmes. He is always moving. He's always trying to involve it. He's not a guy that, this is another trait with Zeke that you kind of hated. Remember when Malone's rage timeout where he's like, grab the ball.
Yep.
Just grab the ball.
He might have thrown another word in there.
I think it was the last time Zeke ever played basketball.
Just grab the fucking
Just grab
ball.
the ball. You're not going to say that to DaRon Holmes. He's like a motor guy. He just kind of plays hard, and just whether he knows what he's doing or not, he goes hard. And I think that'll be a trait that Denver will appreciate. Malone will appreciate.
And he's also got a good basketball IQ as well.
Yep.
A smart player.
Playing for a good coach.
Played for a good coach, Anthony Grant, in a pro-style system.
We
He
should
was
have
a
two more
former
super
pro
chats.
coach.
Right?
Yeah.
We got more super chats?
Maddox. Most excited I've been about a pick since we got MPJ.
Love it, man. That was a very exciting pick as well.
That
Yeah.
was such a wild draft, man.
That
Yeah.
one we did not know was coming.
We
This
did not
one,
know it was coming.
Kinda
man.
different.
That one was a wild one.
And then what else do we got
That
here,
was a fun
Kale?
day, though.
Logira. We got Holmes plus Watson on the case. The league is cooked. Elementary, Logira.
Oh, you're so right.
Elementary.
Something else I do love about Holmes is how he fits with the players the Nuggets already have.
Yep.
They need a backup center. We knew that. He can slot in there. He can also play next to Nikola Jokic.
Yep.
His skill set complements Aaron Gordon's pretty well, too, and just in terms of how he can space the floor. And then you think about him next to a P-Watt and a Christian Brown. Holmes' offense, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility where, you can run some plays for him. And he can be a little hub at times on that second unit next to, some offensive minuses like a Christian Brown or a P-Watt.
Right. I think this is, man, it is an exciting pick, man.
It's a very
I think it
exciting
is.
pick.
I'm pretty excited.
It's pretty rare for a team as good as Denver
I mean, it's no Filipowski, but
to draft this late and address a need with any sort of intrigue or excitement. So that's, look, as far as relative expectations for picking that late, it's fun.
And I'm sneaky glad. Oh, I just gave DaRon Holmes a follow. And I'm sneaky glad that they don't have a second rounder.
yeah. For yeah, less work for us. For a little bit of context about how little second rounders mean and how the Nuggets just pretty much gave up nothing to get them. I don't care about tipping picks anymore. We're kind of done here. OKC sending 5 second-round picks to the Knicks for the 26th pick.
5
second rounders.
Wait a second.
Oh, we did? I missed it. Sorry, I was deep in DaRon Holmes scouting.
That's incredible. We only said 3
seconds
Yeah.
ago.
Easy peasy, man. That's incredible.
So second rounders, they don't mean anything.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be so interesting. I can't wait to. The cool thing about Summer League is the first game on Summer League is 2 weeks and 2 days away.
Yeah.
So, we'll see this guy very quickly. He'll probably be in Denver next week, getting it into the pre-camp workouts. I'm pretty excited for it, man.
Can't wait to ask him what number he's wearing.
Is this going to be more
My first question to him.
more impactful offensive player or defensive player?
Offensive player for sure. I think offensive.
He has to be offensively with the Nuggets. He's going to have to buy in on defense, though. That is going to be where his niche is. That's just what's going to separate him, especially if you're backing up at Aaron Gordon or Nikola Jokic. But offensively is that's where he's confident.
More impactful as a bench guy or an alongside Jokic guy? Meaning, I should say, non-Jokic guy or Jokic.
I would
with
say
Jokic guy.
bench guy for sure. I mean,
I think
that's just
that's
where that's the room for biggest impact, right? That's the biggest area for improvement. And they've just had centers outside of rare exceptions like DeMarcus briefly, who just don't, the defense, forget reacting. They don't even concern themselves with them to begin with. And so it's still a big ask for Holmes, right? A late first rounder. He's not guaranteed to come in and light the world on fire. But I think he has more potential to change the dynamic off the bench offensively, and that is much needed, particularly in the form of a big.
Kale, we have a new pick is in. I don't know if you want to go to it real quick, just because it's kind of a funny one. Tim Conley strikes again. Another hooper.
Dude,
he can't help himself. He can't help himself.
2 hoopers. He's like, you know what? It's time, baby.
Dude, he is so hammered right now.
Dude,
He's so drunk.
every single if you're a big time scorer, he's like, yo, a bucket getter. Hey, sign me up.
They do need offense.
They do need offense.
I don't know if they needed this much offense from 2
This
rookies.
is offense. You have Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr.
Yeah.
You're going to score that basketball in every single way. This is crazy.
They should definitely trade Towns now.
Yeah.
Dude, Tim is the funniest executive.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah, if you looked at a list of guys of who could Tim Conley go after, no lie, these 2 names would have been on that
Bro,
list.
we made that joke. We scouted him on this show, and we said Booth guy or Malone guy, and we all said Tim guy.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
here he goes.
It's hilarious how telegraphed all of this was. All of this was for Denver. Only 3 more picks in this one, in this draft here. It's weird the Nuggets moving up the way that they did. To be honest with you, it's a little bit strange. I think the most underrated aspect of DaRon Holmes, feel for the game, IQ. I think that's the thing. Like the athleticism, the versatility on defense, the fit alongside Jokic. At least these are all hopeful traits, of course. But I think the underrated part is I just think he's smart, man. I think he's a smart player. I hate dumb players. You watch the show long enough, you know it's my number one thing I hate.
You really do.
I think he's smart.
Yeah, and we already mentioned the coach he played for, Anthony Grant, who used to be an OKC assistant. He college coach before that at VCU. He coached the Eric Maynard team that beat Duke way back in the day. Really good coach. We've heard good stuff about him. And so, like, that's also something that Calvin Booth prioritizes. Coaching and what kind of system you come from.
Phoenix Suns, by the way, just got Ryan Dunn. Like the Nuggets with Holmes, they've been rumored with Dunn for a week or so, a week plus.
That's probably
that was
their
a
guy.
telegraph pick.
Yeah, man, but
he was my guy. I do think it's a good fit for him. Like they need some defense. Although I will say, if that team goes sideways and Kevin Durant does end up getting traded and they're tearing it down, that's a guy that I could see just becoming a bust because he's the guy that'll be lost in limbo.
And then also, he kind of fits a run of role players the Suns are on here where it's like, in order to get any defense on the floor at all, they have to put non-zeros out there. And or zeros on offense, I should say.
Dude, you're so right. That's exactly him. He's going to be the guy missing corner threes
Yeah,
while
you're
KD
like,
yells
all
at
right,
him.
well, let's move off of Josh Okogie and let's bring in Ryan Dunn. You know, he's the same thing, you know? I just don't... Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that he's a bad player or anything,
Do you think that Nikola Jokic will like DaRon Holmes?
It's a good question.
Do you think he knows who he is?
Do you think he's watching right now? Probably not. They've got practice.
Coach Pesic is making him run suicides right now.
At this very moment. Yes. I think he will. I think he will like DaRon Holmes.
I feel like Jokic takes the young guys under his wing now anyway. Like it doesn't matter who they are. He's like, hey, you're on the team now. We're gonna buy in here. So yeah. And then also, I think that he's so gifted offensively that Jokic's going to respect that. He's going to like that. There's a young guy that can score. And that's different from what he's seen from, like, backup centers or, like, those type of young guys that are, like, offensively minded that are talented in that way.
I like it. He shares an agent, by the way. Ryan Dunn, DaRon Holmes shares an agent with Austin Reeves for whatever it's worth. I always find it interesting to see who.
Is that worth anything?
I'm not going to lie. It's not
I thought you were going to say Nugget. I was going to be like, he shares an agent with Nikola Jokic. Okay.
I always like looking up these guys as agents, you know, to kind of see who's in the Well, the one reason I bring it up, of all the non-Denver players that raves about Denver, I feel like Austin Reeves is top of the list. He's always, every time he plays Denver, he's like, man, that team's incredible.
Yeah, because MPJ lights his ass up. He's like, man,
he's playing with Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Aaron Riley is his name. What else we got
what
here?
a night for the Nuggets and Calvin Booth. Getting their guy.
And the Nuggets are now... Oh, that's right. They just picked for Phoenix, yeah.
What do you guys think here? Should we wrap up a little earlier?
I think we could wrap up.
All right, we're going to do a wrap-up show. So we're going to take 10 minutes here just to kind of regroup, probably talk to a couple people we should need to talk to, and then regroup with a post-game wrap-up show to really break this down and ask some of the key questions like, will Malone trust this guy? What's the Summer League roster going to look like? What are realistic expectations for him minutes-wise? All of that stuff we're going to talk about on the post-game show. Hit that like button for us, guys. We'll be back in like 10 minutes.